Hello everybody, and welcome to the stream that will be referred to as the Slark Guide. This will be put up on YouTube in the near future. There will be no editing done on this Slark Guide because apparently nobody really watched the non-edited versions or the edited versions on the Huskar Guide, just so we know. So to give you an idea, my Huskar Guide lasted 2.5 hours or so, and the amount of page notes that I had on that were about a page and a half. This Slark Guide, I have, let's see, about 2.5 to 3 pages of notes. So if I had to judge based on that, this is going to be a pretty long guide. So I'm going to first, I tried to organize this as best I could, but I believe that Slark is one of the most complex heroes in the game. While people may think he is an easy pub stomper, at the highest level of play, I believe he's very difficult to play. So to start off, I will quickly show my success on Slark. He's not been the best hero this patch, and I do not believe he's a good hero this patch, but in general, I am ranked in the top 5 on Dota buff as Slark, and my overall record is 265 and 171, about a 60% win rate or so, which in ranked games is overall pretty solid, especially when most of those times I picked him, it was an early pick, like it was like first or second pick, so I get countered and all that. So let's quickly talk about Slark as a hero. Not when I say, okay, I'm going to rephrase that. Let's talk about Slark as a hero, because it will not be quick. So when you look at this hero, the first thing when you think of cons, you think of low stat growths, you think of his weak landing stage, he is level dependent, he is weak in early 5-on-5 engagements, and he is also easily burstable due to the fact that he has very low agi and strength gains. And none of his passives actually make him less prone to getting bursted, like Anti-Mage, for instance. His pros, he's a snowballing hero that once he's ahead, it's almost impossible to beat him. He's really strong mid-game to late game once he gets his items up. He's really good when it comes to Vision Wars because of his Shadow Dance passive, and also because of his Shadow Dance passive, he has a potentially infinite health pool. And he's also a very highly escapable and maneuverable hero, which offers him a lot of aggressive farming and just versatility in fights. So when you're looking to pick him, and when it comes to his counters, I'll talk more in depth about picking him later when I go over the drafts that he was picked into. But the best times in general are the enemy team has low gank potential. They have a hard time pushing the high ground early on. He can't really defend that. They have no instant disables that would prevent him from being able to pact them. And I'm going to now list not only the counters, but this is a very in-depth list. I'm going to copy paste it into this chat right here. So if you'd like to keep it for yourself, you can see it. I'm going to first list off everything, all the heroes that have non-purgeable stuns or slows. So let's go ahead and copy paste that here. So first, these are the list. You have Legion Commander Duel, you have Axe Call, you have Doom, Spearbreaker Charge, and I'm not saying the Bash disable from his charge, but it's something that grants Vision of Slark that he can't get rid of. Tombstone Zombie Slow, Ricky Cloud, Rupture, Static Link from Razor, Veno's passive and his ultimate, Viper ult, Chrono, Spectre's Dagger, Terrorblade's Reflection, all of Disruptor's abilities, Glimpse, Thunderstrike, and his ultimate, Black Hole, Necrophos's ultimate, Fatal Bonds from Warlock, AA's ult, Disruptions from OD and Shadow Demon, Shadow Demon's ult, Wyvern's ult, Bristleback Quills like the debuff you get from taking more damage, Dazzle ult, Witch Doctor Maledict, Omni Knight passive, and Windrunner passive, or Windrunner's passive when she windruns, which are both continually applied, meaning like if you're running next to them, they'll just keep applying it to you, so you can't pact it. And the next for heroes is heroes that are able to escape from his pounce, which makes it not ideal to play against them. Doesn't mean they're counters, but heroes that cannot escape from his pounce. So I will now post that here. So these are the abilities and heroes that can escape from his pounce. You have Clockwork Hook. You have Huskar Ultimate, like if Huskar ults on top of somebody else. Tether from Wisp. Timber Chain from Timbersaw. Tusk Snowball. Earth Spirit's Roll, Phoenix Dive, SK or Sand King Stun, Spear Breaker Charging, or his ultimate actually. CK's Reality Rift if it manages to like on a target outside the stun or outside the leash. You have Anti-Mage Blink, Jug Spin cancels the tether. Morphling Waveform, PL Doppelganger, Ricky's Blink, Venge's Swap, Ember's Remnant, Void Leap, PA Blink, Time Lapse. I don't think I put Storm Ult. Oh yeah, Storm Jump, Meepo's Poof, Puck Orb, and Quap Blink. Every single one of these abilities cancels his pounce. Does not necessarily make them a counter, but it makes them kind of frustrating to play against in general. So overall, it would be impossible to talk about every single counter to Slark or heroes that are not ideal because of the nature of his abilities with Dark Pact and things not purgeable, with Pounce people being able to escape, all that stuff. I can only name the top counters and then other potential ones that I would not like to play against, but overall, Slark's playable against everything but one or two heroes in my opinion. And actually, I'm going to say that he's playable against everything but one hero. And that one hero for me is Spearbreaker. I think Spearbreaker is by far the hardest counter to Slark in the entire game. It means that if you're farming lane and they are looking to gank you, they can set up a gank 30 seconds ahead of time. If they Spearbreaker charge you, it prevents you from ever juking in all in all stages of the game. They'll always know where you are, and that's like the complete takes away half of like what makes Slark really strong, and that means that like him knowing that you can see him, and even if you know they can see you when you're getting charged, they know exactly where you are at all times. Will never lose track of you. So the charge prevents all juking. They negates all regen from your ultimate unless you are actually ulting. So even if you're in Shadowblade, you will not regen. It can be done from anywhere on the map. That's like the biggest thing. There's no way of playing around it. You can't he forces you to buy a Lincoln Sphere. Like that's like the one hero I'll buy a Lincoln Sphere against, and you have to buy it simply to stop him from charging you across the map. And he's also capable of stunning you permanently if he gets his charge off properly. And in the mid game, he supplies a lot of magical damage with no items. And even if you purge his disables, he still hits you for like, the bashes do a shit ton of damage and his ultimate does a lot of damage. So he'll purge and you'll take like 500 damage and try to survive. And if he gets like +1 hero, you die. And the main thing that a lot of people don't think about or realize is against a lot of heroes, you can almost always BKB TP. I know there's stuff like Void. It's a little bit different. Against Void because he doesn't supply damage on his own, for instance. But against Spearbreaker, you can just never BKB TP because he's going to be charging you. So like you can never avoid a gank preemptively or even ult TP. Like a lot of heroes you can do that against, but you can't do anything against him. You can't do anything to stop it. Like even if you ult TP, he'll still hit you. So past Spearbreaker, I think every hero is still pickable against, but the other counters I would consider, especially in solo queue, but in general in competitive as well, is Bloodseeker being number one of the most annoying ones because Rupture just neutralizes the entire effect of Slark as a hero. You want to be mobile, you want to be moving around the fights. If he Ruptures you, even if you have a BKB, even if you don't die to him, you just can't even run. You can't do anything. You can't chase anybody, you can't run away, just all that stuff. And the entire concept of you being below 25% health, it forces you no regen. Like makes your ultimate completely like you have to either go back to base. You have to have a bottle, a salve, a tango, something to get out of. Otherwise, you have to go back to base. And then it also limits his farming potential because there are times where you want to farm the jungle at low health, like on your way back to base, when there's somebody taking over your lane or they're being aggressive, just stuff like that. And you can't ever go below 25%. So that's just a heavy limitation on his ultimate. So, and then you have Disruptor as number 2 in my opinion. I think the reason why is, first off, none of his abilities are purgeable. His glimpse is really strong early on. You can't aggressively push towers. You can't do anything that puts you in a position that would be compromisable. Slark is a heavy position-based hero, so if there's a hero that can reposition you that you can't do anything about, and that happens to be the only hero being Disruptor, that with Mag you can Dark Pact the Skewerer, with Bat Rider you can Dark Pact his Lasso. Other things that are positional based you can get rid of, but on Slark, it's the only hero. Disruptor is the only hero that can do that to you. So unless you have a BKB, getting glimpsed into a Disruptor ulti, you're just dead. 90% of the time. And that's really frustrating. It just limits a lot of your mobility on the map. And like I said, his ultimate just shits on him. So the next one I would consider is Storm Spirit for several reasons. I think that the main one is in solo queue as well as competitive. You just offer nothing to kill him. He's one of the few, like Slark's a high kill potential hero, and Storm Spirit's nearly impossible for him to kill. And if you're ever behind, Storm Spirit offers long range initiation, just like Spirit Breaker. And he can chase you forever. You know, Slark's a lot about his mobility, and if a hero can keep up with him, that's a big deal. Like, that's just a hard counter to Slark, in my opinion. So I consider Storm Spirit third, and then the ones that I would add onto this list, which are kind of all the rest of them are kind of you pick it, you're willing to pick it, but there's reasons they're not ideal. And after this list, you may think, wow, with all these counters you're listing, maybe like Slark doesn't sound like that great of a hero. And my point being is he isn't. He kind of blows this patch, but all you 2K players that think, oh, he wrecks me in solo queue. It's like those games do not indicate if a hero is good or not. He is a strong pub hero and he's strong at snowballing, but he's bad against almost every one of these heroes. When I say bad, I mean not ideal. So the first set of heroes that I will list are Leshrac, Gyrocopter, and Zeus. These are strong teamfight heroes that supply a lot of magic damage early on, that supply the burst necessary to wreck Slark instantly, and they also have abilities that can hit him during his ult, and there's nothing he can do about it. Zeus Bolt, Gyrocopter, Call Down and Missile, and Leshrac basically all of his shit. So that can be really frustrating, and there's almost no way to play around it. Another two heroes are Viper and Razor, and that is because they are extremely hard to bring down. They do something to Slark just by existing. Like if Razor static links you, you have to run away, and that's really bad for Slark. And Viper, it just slows you down, and it makes it really impossible to avoid. It's impossible to avoid his slows. And as a hero that relies a lot on attack speed, Slark does not like getting attack speed slowed. So the whole Viper kit is not. Any Viper specializes in 5-manning as well. Then you have Night Stalker and Beastmaster, which are heroes that supply vision or reduce it. I'm not saying that you can't pick Slark into those, like I said, but it can be very frustrating to play against that kind of stuff as a hero that heavily relies on vision. And then the last ones are Lion, Shadow Shaman, Dragonite, Earthshaker, Rubik. I say those heroes because they are the 5 instantaneous stuns that I think of off the top of my head that I really don't want to deal with. If you're against any of those heroes with a blink, for instance, even Earthshaker without a blink, long-range fissures are really good for setting up kills on Slark. If Slark doesn't get his packed off, Sand King can also be another one that I add onto there. If he doesn't get his packed off, he almost always dies. Low stat growth, low armor, etc. Just you get blown up, and that's what you want to avoid a Slark. So those 5 heroes, along with Sand King, can be very annoying. Other ones include Pugna, Winter Wyvern, Shadow Demon, and Dazzle. These are supports or heroes in general that can save the target you are initiating on. Those meaning like Wyvern can Chilling Touch or whatever where she puts them in their sleeping stage. Pugna can decrypt them. Shadow Demon disrupts. Dazzle Graves. Slark used to be at least heavily reliant on just initiating on one target with Shadow Blade, bringing them down, and making the fight 5v4 before it even starts. And those heroes completely negate that ever happening, assuming the other team's at least a little bit grouped up. And then lastly, in terms of counters, I kind of just put him by itself and didn't really mention him, but Ancient Apparition, just because he amplifies magic damage with his AoE slow, along with the fact that his ultimate completely negates the healing from Slark. So late game Ag Scepter, Ancient Apparition really fucks him. So, that's Ancient Apparition's kind of in his own category. And when you next section I shall move on to is the strongest carries in the game that I would pick versus Slark, mainly in solo queue, but also in competitive. Is Tiny first off, because Craggy's really hard to deal with. I know there's Silver Edge, but that's still a 5k gold item. And he also supplies a lot of Magic Burst and Blink initiation early on. Anti-Mage, because Slark cannot solo kill Anti-Mage, and Anti-Mage mana burn really hurts and out-farms him really hard. Unless you get off to a crazy snowbally start and then can end the game around 30 minutes, which usually doesn't happen with Slark. then AM will will always end up with more farm than you if he's a competent player, and that will just, like, he'll build a butterfly. You don't want to build an MKB, and he'll just crush you in the late game. PL, because he forces BKB purchase simply by buying a Diffusal Blade. If you don't have a BKB against a PL, he just hits you with him and his illusions, and if you don't ult, you just lose all your mana. Which is really devastating for Slark, hero that is heavily reliant on mana, and he's almost impossible to solo kill. I know you can tell which one's real by pouncing, but any PL that's not a frickin' retard will just wait till you pounce, and then he'll doppelganger out of it. And then you no longer know which one's him, and he's not in your doppelganger, and he'll hit you with all of his illusions as you try to chase him. You'll lose all your mana, and you'll cry yourself to sleep. Then we have Bloodseeker that I already mentioned, Razor as well, Storm, Gyro, same reasons, and then we have Void, which I kind of mentioned as a counter, but he's not a very good hero, so I think that you'd be okay. I'd still pick him into Void. And then Shadow Fiend, which you'll see in one of the first games, so I'm not going to explain him in depth right now. For support players out there, strong supports that are good against Slark, I mainly say solo queue, because in solo queue, nobody ever groups up and nobody ever coordinates, so the reason why I say these ones are in general good is because they can either protect themselves or they can kind of go on the Slark with like +1. The ones that can protect themselves are Earthshaker and Lion with their disables, as well as B initiators, and then the ones that are more so in Sand King, that they can kind of protect themselves with stuns. Usually they build blinks, mobility, all that kind of stuff to get away from you. Disruptor for reasons we talked about earlier. Wyvern because of her ability that puts you immune to physical damage. Very good for her to survive as a support, and her ultimate is not purgeable. And then you have Shadow Demon Dazzle for the same reasons, and Abaddon because he really just doesn't give a shit if you go on him. And he also can protect the people that are Slark is going on as well. So the next section I shall move on to. Sorry guys, there will be a lot of talking. I feel like Slark is a very detailed hero. What made Slark good in 6.83 and what makes him pretty bad in 6.84? So Slark as a hero has a weak laning stage, which this was a lot less important in 6.83. The following laning stage in 6.83 was a lot of farming and a lot of being by yourself. And that favored Slark because Slark could man up a 1v1 against basically every carry in the game. But now, if you have a weak laning stage, the other team just 5-mans, takes all your towers, beats you. And there was a lot less early team fights and pushes back then, so that made him a lot better. That patch was much more popular for physical damage heroes with like Troll and Juggernaut, and it made it so you don't have to buy a BKB, which I'm not saying BKB is a bad item on Slark, but it's one of those where if you could avoid purchasing it, it makes the hero a lot stronger. But this patch is much more focused on heroes that you need a BKB against, and last patch was not so much that way. And Slark could also avoid / kite like a lot of the carries, for instance Juggernaut. So while a lot of other heroes could not. And then in 6.84, there's heavy magic damage heroes that are very popular: Leshrac, Gyro, Shadow Fiend, stuff that hits Slark in his ultimate. That's why they force BKB purchases. That's why Slark's weaker early on. That's why early laning stage really matters. Those heroes do a lot with items, while Slark doesn't do very much without items. And then there's the early grouping. Slark doesn't want a team fight very early on. And then he's bad against popular heroes that I've already mentioned, like Storm, Shadow Fiend, Gyro, Lesh, Bloodseeker, Anti-Mage, etc. And also, this patch, Shadow Blade is a shitty item, especially on Slark and most other carries as well. It's mainly a support item late game. Some carries it's situational, but the fact that Shadow Blade has become a bad item based on the new meta with Glimmer Capes and all the shit that saves you, Ghost Scepters being popular. It's one of those, you buy a Shadow Blade, if the support has a Ghost Scepter and the enemy team knows what a TP scroll is, you're never going to kill them. And the fact that that item got nerfed really hurt the hero as well, or like got nerfed like by default because the patch changed. Hurts the hero a lot because it's an item that in 6.3 you'd buy it basically every game. So the first game I'm going to delve into is a game that a lot of us probably watched, and it's not meant to flame. It's meant to show you from a professional perspective another player playing and trying to portray what I've been trying. It basically put an image on what I've been trying to portray for a very long time, and that is the old build simply doesn't work, and the old build simply doesn't work and is no longer really effective. Real quick, somebody in chat mentioned Doom being a counter. That hero blows, so don't even worry about him, but you just have to ulti preemptively before he dooms you, and you just kill him. And if it's not nags, you don't really have to be worried about it. So let's see. I believe it is game 2. No, it was game 1. I don't know why I didn't just go into my already downloaded replays, but hey, we all make mistakes. So this game is... My computer's probably going to freeze during this just because it never does when I'm making the guide, but it does when I'm showing it. So this is VP versus EG in ESL Frankfurt. This is what we all like to think of, and who I would consider the best Slark player in known competitive scene. So, oh, whoops, I thought that closed the fucking spectator window. Yay! So my computer doesn't freeze, but I mess up. So this is an Illidan Stormrage Slark game against EG. I'm going to first off talk about why I think this is a bad Slark game. They pick its last, which is what I'll talk about later, is almost always necessary as Slark because of all these counters that I have listed and all the heroes he is not good against and all the strategies he is not good against. I consider Slark almost always a 4th or 5th pick, and that still doesn't make him that great for competitive scene. But so the build that he goes this game is Treads Aquila Shadowblade into Diffusal for the Omni Knight. So right off the draft, I'm going to straight up flame because not because I think VP is bad. I think they're a great team. I know they're all better than me. You don't have to tell me that or whatever. But I think that Slark is bad against every single one of these heroes. Earthshaker long range initiation, line with a blink is instant disables. Shadow Fiend is a heavy team fight hero that supplies a lot of damage, magic, and physical during the mid game and later. PL is almost impossible to kill as Slark, and Omni Knight makes it so they can 5-man. So they pick Slark here. I don't think it's a good pick. I honestly didn't quite pay attention to the bans, but maybe they just didn't feel like there was a better hero for Illidan left in the pool. So first off, I obviously haven't checked every game, but I've watched a good amount of 6.84, and this is the first time I've seen Illidan play Slark in competitive. In my opinion on his play, in the least flamey, just most honest way, is that his item build is the exact same as it was in 6.83, and don't really feel like he's adapted to Slark in the new patch. That is my opinion. I still think he is overall a better Slark player. I just think that his item choices are wrong. So I will go ahead and talk about that. I'm not going to worry about his starting items. You can look at them yourself, but that is not what I agree with, so I will not justify them. The one thing about this game is they knew there was a solo offlane Earthshaker, which in general Slark is good against weak solo offlaners because that makes it so that his laning stage is secured and so that Slark can have a good start. And that's one of the things that threaten him having a rough game, is him having a rough start. So go ahead and go over the laning stage. Let me pull up my notes here. So there's going to be a couple things I highlight in this laning stage. I'm not really looking at his items. I'm mainly just focusing on his play and then his later on items. I'll talk about laning stage items once I start building my own shit. So the skill build, every game is the same. I will stop to highlight this right now. Unless I am 1v1, potentially I will level Essence Shift knowing that I will be 1v1. I will not kill the guy. But if he comes up to the lane, I want to be able to trade better with him. I will level Essence Shift. In every other scenario, I will level Pounce simply because if you have supports with you, even if you're like primarily 1v1 right now, if there was some sort of potential kill option, this Essence Shift doesn't really offer you anything while Pounce does. And if you ever need to escape, Pounce is better. So if you're in like a tough lane, then Pounce is better to get out as well. So the only time I would ever level anything other than Essence Shift, or other than Pounce, is when I'm 1v1, and then even then I might not. So that's the reasoning behind that. And after these two levels, which I will always level Essence Shift level 2, like I don't need to explain this in more detail than that. There is never a situation where I will not level Essence Shift at level 2. That is going out to my coaching students who've watched me on stream a bunch, and they still frickin' do it. For some reason, they'll level Dark Pact to level 2. So this is your skill build every single game. There is no debate on this. It is not Like, he's not a hero like others that I've talked about where it's like, it's kind of debatable which way you go with it. No, it's these two at level 2, max packed, and get your ulti at 6, obviously. Max packed all the way to 4 points, then you max pounce, then you max shifts and shift. I'm not going to bother explaining it. It's been refined. It'll probably come up over the course of this guide, but there is no debating. For anybody else, like, what do you think about this situation? Would you level that? No. This is the skill build. Okay, we shall continue. Just because for some reason people don't seem to take when I say it's 100% that you freaking do it. So there's going to be a couple things I highlight in this laning stage. So what a lot of people don't do is exactly this. I'm going to go ahead and rewind it real quick. I wasn't sure. I didn't note the exact time he did it. Is when you're against a solo offlaner, especially, or only, is using your pounce as a harassment tool. A lot of people don't do this. They just hold on to their pounce. I'm going to go ahead and put it in regular speed. So using her pounce as a harassment tool here, you know you have a lot of regen, you know he's an offlaner, he's not going to be getting as much out of this lane. So early on, using this little thing, you have essence shift good for trading. I know he trades with you a bit, but look how much health he lost compared to you. And that's only against a solo offlaner. You are going to lose health for it, but the whole point is using essence shift or using your pounce plus essence shift to harass. I don't really do this level 1 because without essence shift, you don't really harass very well. So once you get to level 2, that is a really big tool for him to use. Another thing, I will only comment on this once. I highly disagree with Orb of Venom purchase. That is just me. That is my style of Slark. I don't think you really need it. It's a 275 gold item that takes up a slot. In early game, that's a lot for a hero like Slark. I just don't think it really offers him enough. I understand why people would get it, but I completely disagree with it. So you'll never see me purchase an Orb of Venom in the laning stage. That is my opinion. You can do what you want with that, but I completely disagree with it. Here's the thing you can do as a carry. I say it a lot in general, but I'll say it here, is when the lane's already pushing towards you, to push out the lane like that, like he just did. He was auto-attacking the creep wave. That's making it not go into his tower. The one thing he did wrong here was he allowed the range creep to survive, which will now push the wave. That is not what you want to do. That wasn't really his fault. That was the fissure kind of fucking with the creep. It wouldn't let it walk. So either way, support should pull pretty soon, so he should be okay. Buys boots. We're mainly going to fast forward here. He continues his aggression in lane, and you'll see there's one more thing I want to highlight in the laning stage, and then we'll move. Like I just don't want to take too long on this replay because I've got 5 games, maybe 6, to show you in this guide. So it'll be there. So this is one thing. This is the other thing I wanted to highlight. If you look at their mid lineup, for instance they had a say they had a mid Storm Spirit that was level 6, and you played like this, and he TP'd in, and you tried to run away, you just freaking die, right? But against their team, who's going to TP in and kill you? I know there's a Lion for disable, but you have Pact for that, and you can pounce, and you can just get away. It's a low movement speed support. PL's not going to TP in, Shadowfiend's not going to TP in. So this allows you to do this kind of shit. What this does is Earthshaker could have been getting all this experience. You could have sat back here, played passively, let him get all this experience. It's a really good move by Illidan. He knows he's not going to get punished for it. He knows he has a support with him there. Even if he doesn't have the support, like Omni Knight can save the Earthshaker, so you don't use your pounce to like harass him or anything, because if you use the pounce, that means they can kill you. But you hold on to your pounce, you just simply harass them out of lane, because the pounce is meant to be escape here. You know you're not going to kill them. You know they have an Omni Knight. They have a lot of counter kills, but they don't have anything to go on you. So this aggressive play prevents Earthshaker from getting a lot of this XP. Maybe not all of it. He will get some of it now. But it's just no last hits for Earthshaker. He goes for a fissure, doesn't even get that one. And it's just something that allows you to be aggressive. Or like knowing when you can be aggressive as Slark is really important. That's one thing more I wanted to highlight in this laning stage. So he goes Treads Aquila, which I think is completely required on this hero. He also goes for a wand, which I also believe is required, but I will mainly talk about decisions for items when I play my games, because my build's pretty precise on Slark, and it's almost the same every game. So he gets his level 6. I'll show you, I do it too, but I'll show you when he does it. One main thing you want to do at level 6 is always chill out of vision. That means what he did right there, where he walked this little path right here. Just taking paths that put you out of vision. Every little bit of second that you can get a regen without missing CS is really, really important on Slark. Whether it means you have full health when you go for a kill, when they gank you, whatever it is. Like right here, I believe somewhere in the near future, he goes quickly out of vision and gets his health back. Like right now. No? Okay. There's one time really soon he does it. Right now, I don't think he wants to miss any last hits. He doesn't feel too threatened. But you'll see in a second here. I just remember noting it in my little page of notes here. Like right here. So he just, like, instead of hitting this catapult, he knows it's going to die eventually. He chills out of he chills out of range just to regen. Doesn't matter what your treads are. It's all percentage based. So yeah, it's just a really nice thing you can do with Slark, and you do it a lot. You'll see me tuck into the trees. You'll see me like hang out over here, like in these trees right here for Dire. In the Radiant, I'll hang out over here or over here. It's just generally tucking yourself away to get regen at every second you can, even if there's nobody in your lane. Really important. If you're low health, it really limits what you can do with Slark, because he has a lot of heal potential. So putting you at full health makes you like probably have about like a health pool and a half of what he normally gets. So he flies himself a full wand plus ring of protection. I do agree with that. Usually I'll have the ring of protection from the start myself, so I'll only use the courier to get my full ring of Aquila. Overall, just going to go ahead and fast forward. He's had a good start. You can see that. Doing stacks. I'll talk about that more later. Certain things I don't talk about in this game are because I will be reviewing them later. This game is mainly to show you that he's a good Slark player that clearly knows what he's doing, and I just don't think this build works anymore. And I'll be explaining why. Like I said, all these things, I'm just kind of fast forwarding because I don't want to miss anything, but so as you see here, he takes a tier 1 tower. It's really important to Slark to constantly pressure your lane. You'll see it in a lot of my games as well. You kind of just chill top, and you force them to bring the fight to you. You force the lane. You're really escapable early on. You don't go over aggressive at any time, and you just force them to come to your lane. And if they don't come to your lane, you take the tower like he just did, and you kind of just slowly wear down the tower. And once you get your items up, like he did, he uses his Shadow Blade as his item. I'll use other items, but okay. So he buys a Shadow Blade in full, 12 minutes in. That's pretty good timing. I'm going to go ahead and talk in depth why I think Shadow Blade is bad, and you'll see it later. First off, Slark is a heavily mana-reliant hero with a low mana pool. Shadow Blade instantly gives him mana problems. 75 mana on a spammable thing than on a hero that wants to spam it is a lot of mana, even with tread switching and a wand and an Aquila. Point being is that in this game, Illidan ends up going for a bottle, which you don't need on this hero. I'm going to emphasize that enough. You don't need a bottle on this hero if you don't buy a Shadow Blade. So that effectively makes Shadow Blade cost 3,500. That is my opinion, because the bottle offers you nothing. It really, in my opinion, it offers you nothing. So the only reason he had to buy one was the Shadow Blade. So now his Shadow Blade effectively costs 3,500 gold. So let's go ahead and check out what he does. I'll tell you what the positives of Shadow Blade are, but you'll see quickly the negatives. So he uses Shadow Blade to be aggressive. He immediately goes to the other side of the map. Yes, right here he gets a kill on PL. That's big. That is what Shadow Blade offers you to do. It's just like revealing a blink. It offers a lot of offensive potential. It usually gets you a kill on a big hero early on, and that seems like a pretty big deal. But I'll just show you, what ends up happening later on. Trust me, I know the positives of this item, but it has limitations as well. So at this point in the game, you see that he's about 800 ahead of their cores just because he got that kill. It's a really big deal. And it seems like, oh, yay, the Shadow Blade paid off and everything. You already see here, he has some serious mana problems. He can no longer look to be aggressive with his Shadow Blade. He has to go back to base now. Just because of one Shadow Blade gank, he had to go back to base. May not seem like much, but going back to base on a hero like Slark is a really big deal. And you'll notice here that he goes back to base once. So we'll count how many times. We got once in the matter of 2 minutes of having the Shadow Blade. Goes back out. Looks for kills, goes into their jungle. This is what you do want to do, is be aggressive on their side of the map, knowing you are incredibly survivable. Let your team have the safe farm, let yourself have the aggressive farm. You now know that it also makes them invest in sentries and wards, which is really nice. But in the end, if you're not getting kills, this item really doesn't pay off. I know he got a kill on their PL, but I guarantee you that won't happen again. Not because I already know, but because he got that kill because he revealed his Shadow Blade. And now a good team will never let you do that again. So there's a fight mid. He ends up not TPing to it. But in terms of net worth, the Shadow Fiend's already back ahead of him. The score's even in kills. It's not like his team's getting shafted. Like, the score's even in kills, and the Shadow Fiend's now 900 gold ahead of him. Properly uses his ultimate to get out there. That's something you perfectly fine doing. If you're securing a tower and you know they're reacting, use your ultimate to just get out. You're not going to be fighting anytime soon. So he TP's top to stop this push. Look at this. Look at his mana. Boom. Back to base he goes. Second time in 4 minutes. As a hero with infinite health regen, he's already going back to base. In the last 4 minutes, he's accrued 1,300 gold. 4.5 minutes, he's accrued 1,300 gold. So here he buys a bottle in an attempt to solve his mana problems from his Shadow Blade. Oh my god. Kind of just fast forwarding through the dull moments of this game. Gets another kill on Lion top. I mean, I'll quickly rewind it. Just sets up a nice kill on Lion. Bottles up the rune. They're looking to push top, be aggressive. Lion catches him right after he blinks. I'm sure Owie thought he was coming from like this side, so he was willing to play aggressively and then blink out. It's another nice kill. Like I'm not taking away from the fact that Shadowblade helps you get kills in the mid game. Looks for more kills. Gets a nice kill on top with the setup from his Wyvern. That was a nice kill. I honestly don't think he needed the Shadowblade to get that kill though. He could have just looped around from here and the Wyvern ultied and had him come out of vision. But if you want to argue that it gave him the kill, he's now gotten 3 kills. The bottle has now allowed him not to go back to base, but that is why he even bought the bottle. Like I said, that is now effectively making it a 3,500 gold item. Looks aggressively for kills on bottom. Doesn't get anything. Spends a lot of his time looking for kills, which is alright. It was a good way to play Slark. But I don't. It doesn't. This is what happens with Shadowblade. You eventually stop finding kills. They smoke up. I'm not saying that having different items would save him, but they smoke up, and he is so easily burstable. 1,250 health. They know he's right there. Boom, he's dead. And this is what makes Slark bad in most games, is if you catch him before he packs, he just dies. I'm not saying that that's necessarily the build. That's not Illidan. That's not really on Illidan. That was a nice play by EG. But that's what makes Slark bad, as in general as a hero. So VP gets a good fight here. Or EG, I mean. But they are forced to stop roshing, and VP actually gets a rosh out of this, which is really nice. But as you can see here, just from that one death, he's already 2,300 gold behind. And the point I'm trying to make is nothing to do with the fact that he died there, but the fact that if you get a Shadowblade and you are now behind and you find yourself in any scenario where you are behind, the build is incredibly weak, and you'll start to see it really fall off. And so what I'm trying to say is the Shadowblade is investing in the fact that you will never die and you'll play a perfect game and they'll never gank you. And if they do, you lose. It's really that simple. So I'll go ahead and continue watching here. And Slark's also a hero that's starved for slots. So having to buy a bottle, just like, I'd rather have a TP than a bottle. Or a Quelling Blade for helping me farm. One of the two I'd rather have. So now he's got an Aegis and everything. Sick, he's got an Aegis. Looking for kills, nothing happening. Every time he's not getting a kill, his Shadowblade's worthless. It's been a long time since he got a kill. I think the 16-minute mark was his last kill. Maybe 17 or 18. Been a long time. Without that kill happening, it's a completely worthless item. Like, why would you rather have a Shadowblade than anything else if you're not killing anybody? Buys a Diffusal for Omni Knight, which I also think is wrong. I think Diffusal, like 5th or 6th item on Slark against an Omni Knight's good, but otherwise I never think Diffusal's good in terms of item choices. Kind of just following him around. Maybe we'll just do player perspective since I'm fast forwarding. Looking for a team fight here. Thing you can see here is he gets the Diffusal off, but doesn't really offer him anything. Omni Knight just repels. He actually ends up dying twice, I believe. Or he either gets out. Yeah, he'll die twice later. Either way, they just kind of ignore him. And that's the problem with Slark, is if you can't burst them down right away in these 5-man engagements, then he's not good in 5-man engagements. He's heavily reliant on being able to burst people down and stick on targets. And it's really hard to stick on an Omni Knight with Repel, a PL with Doppelganger. Like right there, like just because you can pounce doesn't make it good. He does kill PL here, but he's going to pay with his life here, and 2 of his teammates are already dead. So every second they spend kiting you is time that they're killing your team. This is also why PL's so good against Slark. He no longer has a magic stick, which I'd much rather have than the wand. Being able to pounce, or be able to stick pounce, is a pretty big deal. You may think, oh, he just died with Aegis, and then he's going to die to another Requiem here. Boom. Dead. Dead Slark. When Shadowblade active is not being used on Slark, it's completely worthless. I know the attack speed's nice, but I'll talk about later more so why it's important to not be reliant on a Shadowblade active for initiation. In the old meta, basically the item of Shadowblade is heavily reliant on Slark getting a jump. What you'll notice in this game is any fight that's good for VP is when they got an initiation from Slark with Shadowblade. And my point being is if that's what you're investing in, that's a really high risk, low reward scenario. Especially in this meta, especially with good teams like EG, you're just not going to get that initiation every fight. And you notice every fight that he doesn't initiate always goes poorly. And that's what you're putting yourself in, that situation, when you buy a Shadow Blade. You're reliant on you initiating, and that's not something you can really rely on. Invis initiation. Like, that's what you're putting in, that's what you're investing in. Will it work at 2K pubs? Yes. 100%, guys. If you're a 2K pub Slark player and you want to win a 2K pub, buy a Shadow Blade, right? Like, I'm just going to be straight with you. There's no bullshit on that one. So looks to be aggressive in their jungle again, which is right. Like, his play is fine. I'm trying to emphasize enough that I'm not flaming his play. I don't think the item choices were good, though. Goes into a BKB. After all of his items, he spent 2,800, 5,900, and BKB makes it about 10k gold that he spent on giving himself 0 man-up potential. And when I say man-up potential, I mean stats. I know, okay, he gives himself 20 agi. He spent 10k gold for 20 agi. And 28 agi and 30 attack speed. I know BKB is a man-up item, and I do purchase BKB on Slark, and I think it's a good item, but the fact is, like, BKB offers you no mana potential on physical damage heroes. And you'll see it later on. He's going to spend 10k gold. This is something I did want to highly emphasize, actually, right here. I don't know why I didn't pause it right there. I will emphasize this later when I do it, and this is not meant to flame him. I do it too, and I've been trying to trim down on it. In highly competitive games, you will learn when this is bad. So he has now pacted in vision. So the other team now knows that he pacted, and it's on a 4-second cooldown or so. At this time, this is when you are vulnerable, is when you pacted in vision. You'll see it later from me, but if I packed right there, I maybe finish off that creep and I quickly back up this way. Like, I just back up this way, knowing that if they're coming this way. I'm still going to look for this creep, but I'm not going to chill out here any longer. I'm going to back up to here and wait till my pack's off and then finish off this catapult. So what I'm going to say is, if I was playing perfectly, I'll show you in a second here. His pack's off cooldown. Oh, man. Come on, let me click the hero. His pact was off cooldown, and he's hitting in vision. I would have pacted, like I'm saying, like, if I was playing properly, I would advise pacting prior to hitting this creep, so that if this shit happens, you pact and get out. You'll see me do it several times in my later games, and I'll make sure I emphasize it. But if you packed and if you're in vision and you ain't packed and you've been in that same spot, like he was in there farming the lane for about 10 seconds. And if you're doing that shit and you ain't packed and you're dead, that's when you die as Slark. That is when you die. Against competent players, you will die. And I'm just trying to emphasize that was a minor slip-up by him that cost him a death. And suddenly you find yourself at 10k net worth compared to the 14.5 of Shadow Fiend, and you're even behind the PL that you've killed twice. So now the point is that Shadow Blade is a complete waste of gold if you are behind. Complete waste. That's what I'm trying to emphasize. It's a great investment in 3k gold if you're ahead. And there's other investments with 3k that are perfectly fine if you're ahead. And there's other investments with 3k that are perfectly fine if you're behind. Or even. But right now, his Shadow Blade is effectively worthless. Can no longer solo kill the Lion, who could just stun him. Pretty tanky. Can no longer solo kill the Earthshaker, who's also decently tanky. And he just can't kill an Omni Knight, who's going to be properly positioned like PPD. So we'll go back to Slark. Continues farming. Looks to get his BKB. The main thing I wanted to focus on is the fact that he hasn't gotten a kill in the last, now is that 11 minutes? In terms of solo kills that the Shadow Blade allow you to get. He hasn't gotten a kill in the last 11 minutes, and his only kill was against PL in a team fight where he died with Aegis. So you're going to see here, they end up taking a good fight because he gets a Shadow Blade initiation on somebody. I believe that's what happens here. Continues farming. But I know in here they have one good fight. See when it happens. They look to smoke up. So they get 2 kills right there. Yeah, that's their good fight. He got a Shadow Blade onto the Lion. They got initiation. Like, nice. They got the initiation. A lot of fights in competitive rely on good initiation. They take a Roche. But that's, like I said, if you don't get the good initiation with the Shadow Blade Slark, you're just going to lose every fight. The hero really doesn't do anything without it. And that's what I'm trying to emphasize, is that it's a large gamble. It's a very hard gamble. So we're going to keep fast forwarding. There's this one part I want to show you. There's really one part. After all is said and done. I understand SF is heavily out farming him, but we're going to show you the items he has now and what they do for him now. Diffusal Blade on PL, why it's so annoying, has to go back to base. As you can see there, I know it was really fast forward, but he got hit by a couple illusions, had to go back to base because he had no mana. That's really annoying to deal with. It's also a reason why Anti-Mage is quite good against Slark. If you guys fight each other like one-on-one, Anti-Mage just mana burns you and has like a Vlad's and blinks away and heals himself while you have no mana. That kind of shit. Like, if it's a hero that can kind of solo contest Slark, that makes Slark a lot weaker. Still looking for kills. Still has not found a Shadow Blade kill since the 18-minute mark. Emphasizing that again. There's just one more part I want to show you in this game, and then it's pretty obvious that they lost. And this build is also not heavily farm-based. I hate how it does that for me. And the fact that he's not getting kills, this is what happens to net worth. I understand that Shadow Fiend farms faster than him, and that's one of the reasons Shadow Fiend's a strong hero against him, because he farms up. He's a natural butterfly carrier, which counters Essence Shift. But this is what happens if you're not getting kills with a Shadow Blade. It is simply what happens. I could show you probably 10 more games if I wanted to look for them, but I don't have time for that. This is what happens if you get the Shadow Blade and you don't kill people. Is these disparities in net worth. He spent a lot of time looking for kills and he ain't getting any. That is the problem. So we're just going to wait for one more time here, and this is going to kind of sum up what I've been talking about. Takes a good fight, or they take a fight, they basically ignore him at this point. He got a couple kills, but they basically ignored him for most of that fight. It's really not much towards this guide. This is the part right here. We're going to go ahead and rewind. So at this point, Shadow Fiend's about 50% higher net worth than he is. Like 50% of Slark's net worth is added onto his. So he goes on Shadow Fiend, who has a lot of items. Butterfly, Lincoln's Blink, BKB. And he just mans up on him. Now what? What does Slark do now? Fucking dies. At this point in the time, they've lost. There's nothing they can do. If Sumail can just turn around and man up the fuck on you, the game's over. I can promise you that if he had different items, maybe he wouldn't have killed Sumail, but he wouldn't have died. The key emphasis here, and what I'll talk about later, is when he's not in Shadow Blade active, with this build, if he is visible, he moves at 355 move speed. On a hero that is heavily reliant on sticking to his targets, being maneuverable and escapable, he is 355 move speed when he's not invisible, which is huge. So that really sums up that game. I just don't agree with the item build. I mostly just wanted to show the limitations and weaknesses of Shadow Blade and how it's basically a gamble. Was not meant to bash Illidan. His play wasn't bad, as you saw. He didn't play poorly. He didn't make any huge fuck-ups. But the little ones he made, like the one mid here, just lose you the game as Slark. And I think that that's what makes him such a hard hero to play and competitive. So now we're going to delve into my first game that was a loss. I'm going to show a loss as Slark because people requested that a lot during my game as Huskar. Let's see. Oops. Believe it is this one. Should have took him down more notes. No, it is not that one. Sorry. Really should have taken the notes. I thought I'd have it memorized. I think it's the first. It's either, okay, it's one of these 4 losses. Come on, man. Throw me a bone. Okay, yeah, this is the game I wanted to show. So there's a lot to learn from this game, so that's why I'm going to talk about it. It was a loss that could have been won. And it also shows the strength of my build, even with some massive fuck-ups by me. And I want to emphasize that this game was played relatively poorly by me, and that was the main reason we lost, so that's why I'm willing to show it to you. Meaning that, like, it's a good build, it's just me playing poorly that costs us the game. And I want to show you how much these poor plays hurt you as a Slark player. Like, how costly it is that he dies early. Personally, I believe I was not talking to the captain during this game. I really don't think this is a particularly good Slark game. Like, it's not a horrible Slark game. But I don't think it's a particularly good one either. Just from looking at these two heroes, the team's heavily 5-man based and heavily Magic Burst related. This is an FPL game. They picked it because of the Drow. I think Slark's a good pick against Drow in general. If you're able to, he's one of the few heroes that can go on her. The only problem is the high physical damage that she supplies makes him really burstable and easily killable, just like from hitting him, just right-clicking him. And a lot of these targets are hard to bring down. Like, it's really hard to bring down an Ogre. Leshrack's pretty hard to bring down. Drow, with the right items, is pretty tanky. Gyro is a support this game, so maybe he's a little bit easier to bring down, but even if you bring him down, he's level 6, he'll still take you down. He'll still take a lot of your health with Call Down and Rocket Barrage, so that can get pretty annoying as well. So we picked Slark here. I'm going to show you my starting items first. One of these games that you will be seeing, I built slightly different Slark items to start, but I want to show that these are the items in 3 out of 4 games that I have refined over time in this patch that I believe to be correct, and I will explain why. So I think that Slark needs a lot of regen in lane. I think that that is really important. The first concept to think of is Slark. With Huskar, you want your tangos or regen to last you long enough to get your armlet. Because once you get your armlet, you don't really care about regen. You're going to be low health. Your armlet's going to be your survivability. You don't care about being high health. With Slark, that point is when you get your ultimate. Because obviously when you get your ultimate, you no longer need health regen. Your ultimate does that for you. So with these items, I don't think one set of tangos is enough. And with the new patch, because Stout Shield got slightly cheaper, if you go these build, I think he needs the Ring of Protection. He has 1 base armor. So you go 2 sets of tangos for the enough regen to last to level 6. Ring of Protection for the tankiness, and you can't buy it at the side shop. And then if you save all your gold, you may be like, hey, I have 175 gold. It's because by the time you get to lane, you'll have a Stout from passive gold. So I think that Ring of Protection and Stout are highly important on this hero to secure his laning stage, and then along with the regen. And this is the only way to accomplish that. So that is why I go these starting items. And I do it every game now. Don't think he needs any clarities or anything. Doesn't need a mango. Do think he needs 2 sets of tangos, though. So this game I want to talk about why I believe one of the best times to pick Slark is when you have... Okay, so one of the best times to pick Slark, first off, is when you have versatile supports. Dirge I consider a versatile support, meaning because if he's like a 4 or 3 role, he can go to any lane. Like he can help be in an aggressive dual lane. He can like help support bottom to detour a tri lane, that kind of thing. Skywrath can roam, doesn't really need to be in your lane. That's the kind of thing. Is the reason I say that is because Slark's really strong. If you just give him levels, like even if he's not having the best start, if you just give him levels, he can make a recovery. I said he needs a good start, but if he gets no levels or farm, he's crushed. But if he gets levels, he can come back with jungle farm, which is being overall survivable. So it's better if you have supports that can be elsewhere, like they're not forced to be bottom. Like you have defensive supports like Abaddon, Omni Knight, stuff that can camp other lanes, Dazzle, stuff that can be aggressive. Heroes like Rubik that combo well with him in lane because they can like lift into Pounce, that kind of stuff. Is really good with Slark. So people were asking me about what heroes to pick with Slark. And I also want to say why I think he's a good pick versus Broodmother. Because Broodmother, in general, almost every core loses to Broodmother level 1v1, and you expect that to happen. You're going to see here why I think Broodmother, or why I think Slark's a good pick versus Broodmother. In general, you want to be by yourself as Slark. I tell my team to just leave me. They're not going to be able to do anything. And as you see here, this is Bulba playing Broodmother, so this isn't some like pub Broodmother. This is a good Broodmother player. My point being is I know him as a player. He's a good, like in terms of like I've played against him a lot, and I know he's a good player. And so you see right away I go out and buy the Stout, and so you can tell that this is a good Broodmother. So I check his items, I believe. I check for a sentry. I think I end up winning this D-Ward battle. I end up laying a sentry somewhere in here. This guy's not meant to primarily be for a Broodmother, but I'm ready to tango the sentry whenever he lays it. That's what you have to be ready in these kind of battles for this. It doesn't happen very often, really only with Broodmother, but you're going to see it here. Typical laning stage, abusing creep aggro to pull it towards you, but because Broodmother's invis, it's really hard to out-CS her, even with higher damage, just because you can't tell when she's going to do denies or whatever. So when your creeps are hitting as well as her denying, it's really tough. So that's why I immediately buy a Quelling Blade, so I can win the last hit battle. I don't always buy a Quelling Blade this early on, but I just really want to be able to last hit freely with knowing she can't deny me. So she immediately lays the ward, and I tango it down, or I Quelling Blade it down. But you can also use tangos. Right there, I happen to have a Quelling Blade. So this is why Broodmother is good against Slark to start. You're going to have a rough time once she gets her spiders up early, and you only have 1 point in pact. Against Broodmother, I'm actually going to take this back. Against Broodmother, I don't know why I leveled Essence Shift. I probably would have, I think it would be better to go Pounce and then 2 points in Pact, because you're never really going to be hitting her anyway. So, I think that against Broodmother, I take this back. It would actually be the only time I would level, Pact level 2, just so you can have 2 points earlier on for the spiders. As you see here, I buy a Bassie and leave it on, just because it prevents even less so of Broodmother killing my creep wave really fast and diving me. But this is also a game to show you that Slark can have a rough lane and still be effective. Like against Broodmother, you're going to have a rough time. Like I'm obviously getting harassed out, but I have enough regen. I'm just using this time to soak XP. I know I need levels in Pact, otherwise I'm never going to be able to do anything. I believe I use the tank. I believe I use the courier for more regen here. But the point is, now that I have 2 points up in Pact, I kind of just start spamming it every time she sticks spiders on me, because I'll get a couple last hits here and there with it. But the nice thing about this kind of game is, like, why I think it's okay against Broodmother is, like, my team's shutting down their Drow as well. Like, it's not like against, like, a tough lane where, you know, only I'm getting shut down. They're against a Broodmother. I'm against a Broodmother solo, and my team's, like, left to pressure their carry, and I'm 1v1. That's why I think he's a good pick, because he can handle her 1v1. So I flew myself a salve. You'll see later it pays off. I have 3 points in pact, so now I use that to just start pushing the wave out, and then every time it's down, because I know that he can do this shit, I run away. As you notice there, I use pact to push out the wave. This just prevents her from diving me by me doing this. So I push out the wave with pact, and then immediately, since it's down, I know that if I stayed right here hitting a creep, even just once, that she'd stick all the spiders on me, and she still sticks all the spiders on me, but the fact that I immediately ran away makes it harder for her to do so, and I can at least see it coming. And now my pact's up again. I use it when it's optimal, like right now. Get a bunch of spider last hits. I get weakened and almost die. Managed to get out, salve up. That's what the salve was for. Just so I could survive to level 6. If I hadn't bought that salve, I would actually have to go back to base, which is something you really want to avoid as Slark, if possible. So right now, I know that I'm just going to have a rough time. I have no regen, but I'm almost level 6. In terms of net worth, I'm probably decently close to Broodmother. Okay, I'm getting shafted. But that's kind of expected, actually. And the point being is that you'll see what happens here. I start making a comeback. I really didn't think I was that far behind, but as you can see, she's basically free-farming the lane. And the point is, against a hero like Broodmother, who's expected to win the lane, like there's not many heroes, like other than the hard counters, that can do much better. Like other than Axe, Tide, Darkseer. There's really no core, like an actual carry that will do any better. And that's why I'm trying to say he's a good pick. So right here, she sticks the spiders on me. I have my ultimate, so I'm okay with that. I used my ultimate and was willing to get all those CS. I got like 150 gold just from killing all those spiders. I know now, since I have low mana, I'm willing to go back to base, fly myself boots to help myself get back to base faster. We're going to go and fast forward. I was willing to sacrifice because I knew I wasn't going to miss much. I wasn't getting much farm in the lane anyway. I was willing to sacrifice having to go back to base in order to kill like 15 spiders and get the gold from them. So I really only missed about a creep wave there. Make it back. Come back to lane. Keep pacting every single wave down. She has spiders, so I run away. She starts sticking the spiders on me again. Always hold my pounce, because I want to be able to pounce away. Run up to the creep wave and pact, like right there, every single time. Because if I don't do that right away, she'll just stick the spiders on me, and the delay of pact will cause me to get hit by the spiders. Immediately run away. She will stick the spiders on me, because he's a good player. He'll stick the spiders on me, knowing I have no pact. So I run away. And then once he starts pushing tower again, I run up to the creep wave and dark pact again. Like the main point I'm trying to say here is not many heroes will do better than this. So I keep spamming pact, pounce to get away, ultimate, and I'm out. So they spent that entire time diving me and didn't get a kill on me, which is really nice. I actually get a return kill onto this Ogre Magi using pact for damage. Many people that I have coached do not do this, and I'm going to rewind and I'm going to emphasize why, because nobody does it. They seem to think Dark Pact is only an offensive ability, or a defensive ability, and this is why you max Pact. Because you don't rely on it for positioning. This is just an offensive ability. I know I'm not going to get stunned by this Ogre. I saw him already stunned. But it's a 300 damage nuke. So we got a nice counter kill. I get mana booted. I can stay in lane. Nice counter TPs by my team. I'm just highly survivable in this lane. Like, usually Broodmother +1 kills almost any core in the game. Like, actually any core in the game. Even like a counter to Broodmother, that can kill. So that's really nice as a Slark to be really survivable against that happening. That makes it another bonus of picking him. So that really sucks right here. We managed to not kill him. He got away. Not much you can do about it. Had to have detection. So I go back in regen. What I usually do, my determinant, I always go Treads Aquila. The determinant between which one I buy first is if the courier is in usage. Right there, the courier was not at base, so I bought my band of Slippers of Agility, which I bought earlier, which was towards my Aquila, and then I invested in the band of Elven Skin for my Treads. But I'm still going to get the Ring of Aquila first. But like whatever components I buy first that's how I base it. Right there is just going for a pounce. Really hard to land it on Broodmother because she's so fast. But if you don't go for them, you can't hit them. Keep pacting for spiders. Just kind of surviving the laning stage. As you can see now, net worth is always going to be Broodmother first, but compared to the other carry, I'm doing just fine. Nice pounce by me to lock her down. Knew where she was, but, you know, IX Mike with the classic stuns. Just kidding. Not no flame. Managed to bring her down there. Suddenly, with one kill, I'm only 500 behind her. And Slark also offers really good kill potential. I flew myself a Clarity. Don't want to have to go back to base. I will not pact because of the Clarity, but you know, he had spiders that were going to pop it, so I got a little bit of mana from it. In this game, I want to show why my build is not this anymore. This was a relatively I wanted to experiment kind of game. and I thought it would be a good idea. I wanted to scale late against this team, and I go for a Midas. And I want to show why now I believe Midas is a bad item in general on Slark, because every game I do it, I get punished. And I'll talk about it once it punishes me. I went for a Midas, but I thought, oh, I'm getting a couple kills on Broodmother. Like, I'm going to get a bunch of spiders. I'm going to have a good start. So, like, right there, there's this one bad play by me. We're going to go and rewind. I thought I could get away with it. I didn't know they had another hero coming. I thought, I'm going to ultimate to get out. And then I knew he was chasing me, and I thought, oh, I'm going to be super greedy and take all these spiders. Like, I saw all the spiders coming to me at low health. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get these easy spiders. And then all the spiders hit me once, and plus Dark Pact, I just died to a nuke. Really unfortunate, but that's the kind of stuff you learn from, playing really greedy and getting punished for it. I'm not making excuses for it, but that's you just make stupid mistakes, and those are really costly as Slark. Suddenly he finds himself another 800 ahead of me. They are pressuring the carry, which is really nice, but the Midas purchase really hurts me here. So I'm going to go and fast forward. I'll just show you when the Midas purchase really hurts me. Keep having to go back to base because they're pressuring me really hard. I keep forcing out my ultimate. Jungling out or farming the jungle out. That's one thing about Slark is you can contest the Broodmother for jungle farm. A lot of heroes cannot. One thing about Broodmother, she takes over your jungle really well, so having a hero that can farm the jungle without caring about the Broodmother is really nice. Constantly spam out the wave like I'm doing, rotating back and forth between the wave and jungle, kind of just trading with the Broodmother. Because I bought the Midas, my TP potential to help my team in fights is highly limited because my mana pool, as you can see, I have 322. That's actually wasn't planned at all. Mana pool, I'm constantly spamming Pact. I have to keep pushing out the lane, farming jungle, so it's not like that's a choice. If I were to ever TP here, I'd have 250 mana, which gives me a Pounce, an ult, and a Dark Pact, which really is not much to work with. And you'll see later how much the mana pool from an item such as Drums, which I go every single game now, is such a big deal for Slark. Drums plus Wand just saves all of his mana problems. So we look for a kill on the Broodmother, misses the stun from Mike, don't end up getting the kill. Just a really good hero for dealing with Broodmother, though. But you're going to see here, I'm going to make a couple big fuck-ups on my part, and it's going to really cost us the game. Still doing better than their carry net worth, pushing out the lane as always. I go for Sanj and Yasha. Usually my build when I go Midas is basically it's the same build as always, but I replace the drums with Midas, and I'm just saying now that after experimentation and trying out everything, I just believe that Midas is wrong and drums are always better. So I'm just farming up as Slark. As you can see here, I'm a lot more focused on farming compared. My net worth is good now compared to their carry. But as you're going to see here, and what I want to emphasize is I'm pretty close to full health, but as Slark, when you're in Vision, you're almost always going to be pacting for farm, and if you're pacting, then that makes it so that you are not full health, naturally. So every little bit of health is like adding more, like it's percentage-wise. Instead of adding a percent to 1,000s, because you're not full health, it's like adding a percent to like 750. You know, you're just adding, it's a really big deal to get an extra bit of health on you. And that's why I think Sanj Nash is good, but why I think Drums is just so important. You're going to see here, so like, okay, sorry, I keep having to forget I need to use two hands for this shit. So I'm at, I farm out one wave, and this is going to happen a lot, and you want to be able to do this as Slark. It moves your farming speed up along really well. I'm at 830 health, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go like Dark Pack this creep wave. Like, nice. I'm almost full health, and because I have no health items, none of these are health items, I get hit by a Leshrac. Like, I'm just saying, I don't even think this is a horrible play by me. And I didn't react in time to this Broodmother, but watch this. I just went from full health, almost full health, to nuke Dagon, dead. If I had an extra 200 health, that nuke Dagon doesn't kill me instantly. I have an ultimate, and I can get out. Yes, could I have reacted perfectly to that kill? Yes. But if you expect to play Slark successfully and know that every single time somebody does something like that, you'll react flawlessly over the course of a 50-minute game, you're wrong. Just not going to happen. It's not that necessarily that you're wrong, but that's not going to lead to consistency and success. That's just not going to lead to it. So that was pretty bad by me. Or like it shows the weakness of the item choice. Really, it does. Continue putting pressure on the bottom tower. It's a little bit more difficult with Brood, but overall it's still the same concept. TPing the lanes, farming them out. Still have minor mana problems though. I don't have a wand or drums. And as you notice here, I'm constantly feeling like I have low mana. I'm actually forced to ulti here just to get out. of trying to stop. I was trying to stop them to push, and I'm forced to ulti, which makes that a bad fight. Every time you don't have your ultimate as Slark, I remember that game specifically saying it was not a good fight. If you don't have your ultimate as Slark, you got to tell your team, like, don't fight, because if you don't have your ult, you don't do anything in fights. So a high thing I wanted to emphasize in this game as well is I ended up going Shadowblade. I thought, hey, they have a Broodmother. Like, I want to be able to solo pick them off, but you're going to see in one fight how costly it is that I go for the Shadowblade. So, for instance, here I made a greedy play. I did not have my ultimate yet. It just shows how burstable I am. It may seem like, oh, you built pretty tanky. You built a Sanj and Yasha. But the fact that I've fallen behind with a couple deaths, look at all those twos. Holy shit. But I've fallen behind with a couple deaths, makes it so that he's a snowballing hero. So these items at the 22-minute mark are nearly making me as tanky as they would be at the 18-minute mark. So here's what happens. I make a greedy play. I think, hey, I can go on this Leshrac and almost kill him. I'm blaming the Pounce nerf from like 6 months ago that I don't quite kill him here. Yeah, he would have died at the old Pounce. And I ended up dying with 2 seconds before my ultimate was off. I just thought I wouldn't die that fast. But the fact is, I'm really weak to Magical Burst, and they have a Broodmother with a Dagon and a Leshrac and an Ogre. And that killed me. Those are kind of the effective, stupid plays that's like... I don't really consider that a stupid play, though. Like, I just, in my opinion, when I say stupid, I mean, like, I didn't get caught out or something. I made a decision thinking it was okay. And that's just overestimating my potential. So that's what I mean. It's still a stupid decision, but like that's what I'm trying to say. There's a difference between like getting caught out and like making a wrong decision. So I'm going to go for BKB here, or at least that was the plan, and that is the right item. And I'm saying right now that's what I should have gone. But I instead choose to go for Shadowblade. I show up to a fight. Fight breaks out. I always choose to go on the Drow if they have one. She's a lot of their damage. She supplies damage to all the other carries. I ultimate. Get 2 kills. And I think I continue pursuing. I got really mad because I told my team they had a ward up here. And that actually caused me to die this fight. As you can see here, my goal was to get kills and weave out of the fight. A Shadowblade would have been really nice to have here. But 99% of fights, you can do this and then weave out and come back with full health. This whole ward that they had on this hill was really bad for me. My team disagreed with me, but as you can see here... okay, apparently it's not letting me free camera. Really? They have a ward. So what ended up happening is... They thought it was Broodmother spiders that saw me. So I go back in. I get multicasted by Ogre, I believe. And these are just 2 supports. Yeah. Okay, I get 3 times multicast. That's kind of bullshit. And I end up dying to a support Gyro plus Ogre. And that's just one of those that if I had been full health, I would have been perfectly fine there. But the fact that they had a ward that stopped me from regenning, that's a really big deal. That you want to look for in fights as a Slark is to regen outside of the fight like that and make it so you have effectively more health. That's definitely not my Blink Dagger. There we go. So I end up going for Shadowblade, and you're going to see in this next fight that it really just, like, there's going to be a big fight coming up. It's not, like, right now. How much I would rather have a BKB, and I can say that because even though BKB costs 1,000 more, I'm going to farm 1,000 gold before this fight. So we look for kills, and I don't get any. That's the big thing. I look for kills, and I don't get any. That's, like, what I'm trying to emphasize as a Shadowblade. If you don't get any kills, it's a worthless item. It really is. So, like, right now, I would have had a BKB. Or not right now. By this fight, it doesn't really matter that much, though. So I go in on the Drow. Like I said first, we kill the Drow. I missed the pounce on Ogre. Right then, I should have just backed up. They bring down my team. This is a really nice play by Moo. He manages to Yules me. I was going to pounce over the trees. He redirects me. I right-clicked instead of right-clicking right here. Misplayed, got caught out, and died. If I had had a BKB for that fight, it would have been pretty huge. We lost the gym. I believe I actually bought that gym because I think I had BKB gold. Maybe I didn't, though. The point being, a BKB would have been much more useful, even just an Ogre Club there. So we're going to fast forward. Nice kill on the Broodmother. Mike with his casual trash talk. Managed to recover the gym, which was really nice. Point also about a Midas is this hero is very slot hungry, like I said against with Illidan. So having him be really slot heavy is a big deal because, like, you know, with the Shadow Blade, with the he-body, he had to buy a bottle. For me, this Midas is just another slot. I'd much rather like a TP on me. So right here, as you can see, if I'd had a TP, I could continue pushing that tower, but my team goes back to base and fights. We take a fight. This is the fight where I could have easily had a BKB. Easily had a BKB. And you're going to see what happens to me here in this fight. I get on top of the Drow, bring him down. He was out of position, honestly. Should have been over here. Should have been... Can't tell which one's mine. Is over here. So, just see what happened to me there. How fast I died. And it was all magical burst. All of it. I was in my ult. I come out of my ult. Imagine if I had a BKB. Yeah, just blew up. All that was like 3 nukes and a day gun. I end up having to buy back to defend our Rex. Really bad. If I had bought BKB, I would have had it instead of Shadow Blade. I would have had it easily. I may have even been able to build into a Shadow Blade from there before that fight started. Like, I could have had at least like the Shadow Amulet, which can also be very useful on Slark. But either way, the BKB not having it cost me that massively. So I'm going to show the effectiveness of the build that I go. This is honestly the most late game replay I had from this patch. Every single Slark game other than this one ended prior to like the 30-minute mark. So I will talk about my late game decision items, but every other replay, as you'll see when I show you my items from a game, is expired, which is really sad. So I can't show my late game decision making on Slark being how bad it is, but mostly the item choices and why I choose them. So end up pushing out all the lanes. They're pushing back our mid lane. I show up to the fight. I still don't have a BKB for this fight. I still don't have one. So if I had a BKB, I could easily play aggressive, at least stop them from pushing our racks like they just did. That would be a pretty easy task. I don't think that's asking that much that I could have played aggressively with a BKB here. So I go in with my Shadow Blade. I get into the middle of them. Look at all that magic damage. Suddenly I'm at half health. Already have to ultimate. For no other reason than just avoiding damage. Already have to back out of the fight. Wouldn't have had to do that with a BKB. Weaving in and out, trying to get my health back like I talked about earlier. Get back into the fight, bring down the Drow Aegis only. Sitting on a lot of Agi stacks now, which is really nice for Slark and extended fights. Bring that guy down. Dark Pact did spam in fights because I wanted to make sure I didn't get disabled. Pacted off the silence. Pursue this Drow, bring her down, and then die because I have nothing left. And just look how much magic burst. Like that's the problem with Slark, is the magic burst. And I'm down for 100 seconds because I already had to buy back. At this point, I'm pretty crippled. But it's still a game. They bring down one of our Raxes. I think that was a relatively well-executed fight, but like I said, I didn't have a BKB at the start, and you just saw what that did to me. They managed to bring down the Gyro because he's retarded. Later, you're going to see a really retarded death by me. I'm warning you. It's like 2K tier of a mistake. Like, the Shadow Blade still hasn't gotten us any kills. It's gotten me into fights decently, but they weren't even holding detection. Like, a good team would just hold detection. That was the sad part about it. So from here, I go Moonshard. It's not every game, but in a lot of games, you're going to see here, I consider buying Moonshard on Slark effectively giving him Agi, because it just makes you just steal Essence Shift. And I think it synergizes so well with BKB, because during your 10-second BKB, you're just that much more effective. In the time that you're using it, plus your ultimate. You just steal that much more Essence Shift. And you're going to see later how sick it can be. All right, you're going to see it. We don't win this game, but you're going to see how sick Essence Shift can be with a Moonshard. Just fast forwarding, pushing out creep waves, farming up as much as possible. Possibly looking for a kill here. Don't find one. They're pushing, or they're grouped up bottom. Use my pounce to get out. Never be afraid to just pounce out. Backdoor a tower at this point in the game. Force out the glyph. Eat the rocket with Dark Pact. Team fight going on. BKB, get in there. Just see how powerful I am with a BKB. It's just insane. Oh, Broodmother blinks out. But just like earlier, you're seeing I had to cower every time there was a 5-min-5 engagement, and they decided to start damaging me. There with a BKB, I just ran at them. And that's like a really big deal for Slark to be able to just run at them. Just ultimate TP, it's always something useful on Slark. Fucking quick cast. Made it so I TP'd in my tier 1. Still suffering with that issue. Not an excuse. I just keep fucking doing it, so... Because I'm slot hungry, I decided to go for Silver Edge in this game. It's also pretty decent against Drow and Brood. I don't think Silver Edge is a very viable item until the very late game, but against in this kind of game, it's actually already the 42-minute mark, and that's what I would consider the late game. And I'm already suffering for slots, have a lot of attack speed, and as long as I go on the Drow, they really don't have much physical damage, so I don't really have to worry about armor. So you're going to see in this next fight, I believe it's the next fight, how effective Moonshard is and how crazy good it is. If you're having a decent Slark game, you're going to see how crazy effective it is. I might die horrible death before that fight happens. So right there, I held my ultimate in my BKB, knowing that I could, that I could survive if I like, and that extra bit of tankiness from the Sanjin Yasha and BKB made it so I survived their magic damage nukes. Okay, you're gonna see here. I could have just BKB'd. I'm fucking retarded. I either misclicked or I'm just retarded. And I just die there. Really stupid deaths. Could have easily just BKB'd. Probably played too greedily. I tried to justify myself when it happened. It was really just a horrible play. So that death right there cost us, gave them the gym. Or didn't give them the gym, but gave them the ability to push the base. For some reason, I thought I was still carrying the gym. They take another Rax because I died there. I do not have buyback. Invested entirely in my BKB. Or my Moonshard, I mean. Just like that's the thing though, against their team, why would I die? If I BKB'd, I was a perfectly fine survivability here. Like I would have just been fine. So they almost take our throne here. Our team is here to pull some sick plays. I actually managed to get buyback in this short amount of time. I believe our creeps took a tower or something. We managed to hold our base. Here's the Moonshard doing work. Some serious Agi steal. It's so hard to fucking pounce Brood, I swear to God. She's so fast. But the new patch, buyback just sucks, man. I bought back, got 2 kills, and got 600 gold off of it. So we push out the lanes. You're just gonna... God, this essence shift is so sick, though. This is like the 4th or 5th most essence shift I've ever had coming up here. So get a DD, push buildings off of it. Push their mid-tier 1. Or mid-tier 3, I mean. Go back to farming because they're all up. Can't really do anything now. Going to buy out for Silver Edge because I've already bought back. I do not replace my Sanjin Yasha. I think Sanjin Yasha is an amazing item on Slark. I do not believe the Maim slow from Silver Edge is enough. It is a lesser Maim compared to the greater Maim of a Sanjin Yasha. I believe that you either need Sanjin Yasha or Scotty, and I think Sanjin Yasha is better. So I'd much rather have a Sanjin Yasha, and the only time I'll ever disassemble a Sanjin Yasha is if I've already built a Scotty before the Silver Edge. I will then disassemble it, because that supplies enough slow. And that's what the main purpose of the Sanjin Yasha is. Like, I don't care about the extra 6% movement speed from the Sanjin Yasha compared to a Yasha. Buy my Silver Edge. Slark or Drow has a butterfly, which is really inconvenient, but not the end of the world. Go on the Leshrac here. Even that, just because he was TPing, like if you're Slark and somebody's TPing away, never hesitate to just hit him. I got 9 Agi stacks off that. That's 27 Agi. That's a lot. It's also 9 of all stats from Slark. So we from Leshrac. So we chase here, take a good fight. You're gonna see the Moonshard doing work here. I'm already at 19 stacks of Agi. Chasing into the fight. I already BKB'd, so I can just run in. 21. Fight seems to be over, but they reinitiate onto us because we're all low. Quap with a nice blink. We kill the Broodmother here. Already at 32 Agi stacks. This is all because of the Moonshard, people. Make it 38. He gets up. 46. 50. 50 stacks of Agi. That is a lot of Agi. And this is what Slark with a lot of Agi can do. They're all dead. We have no creeps. Who gives a fuck? I believe I killed Gyro here. If not, then I just take his buildings without caring. Backdoor protection. Remember that. I take their freaking racks with backdoor to protection on. Looking for the kill on Gyro, but he's playing back really hard. I just take their range racks. Through backdoor. That's pretty ridiculous. I've had that happen twice in a Moonshard game now. Just letting them take their tier 3. Can't take it though. Still have 50 stacks of Agi. Get a kill on Gyrocopter with 40 of them still remaining. Take a Rax. I just focus on buildings because I killed them so fast. Still have 40 stacks of Agi. I am losing them though. It is a very big priority to utilize the last bit of Agi stacks on Slark. I ultimate to get this Rax. I believe I die for it. Or I get away. No, I die. 100% die here. There's no way I get away. Yeah, I die. And I almost got out, actually. But yeah, that was a really greedy play by me. I thought I could finish off the Rax in a matter of that ultimate duration, but I couldn't, and that was a misplay by me. Misjudgment, really greedy. But either way, we still took 2 sets of Rax, and I have buyback again. Or we took a set of Rax and a half, and I have buyback. I bought back to save our base. I built a Basher because I have so much attack speed already, and other than the Drow, there's no reason to buy any MKB. Get on top of the Drow here, get the kill. The Basher is just really good for disable. I consume the Moon Shard in order to take the Aegis because I have no buyback. If I did have buyback, I would not have consumed the Moon Shard and given the Aegis to someone else. Slark is not a very good Aegis carrier because when he dies, he loses all of his instant shift. So as you can see here, we make one last push. I die with buyback or without buyback. And we get the Rax. Like, we made a game out of this. We made a game out of it. We take their bottom Rax. Or we take their bottom tier. We go for their bottom Rax, sorry. Take a good fight. I stick around just a bit too long. And this is Slark without a freaking age or without BKB or his ult. I went way too aggressive there. That was really bad decision making by me. I have nothing left. I die twice. Without BKB or my ult, I might as well not even have a second life. That's why he's not the best Aegis carrier. Because if you die once, you're usually going to die again. The only time it pays off is if you got picked off prior to using any of your shit. We end up losing here to a base push. So I wanted to show that game why Moonshard was good, why the Shadow Blade really backfired. Would have rather have been a BKB. This patch, I'll primarily talk about the fact that Shadow Blade or Blink Dagger on Slark are very good late game items, and as there you can see why. Once he gets his core items up, his strength items, his attack speed items, those allow him to be more maneuverable and they help him. But if you build those first, he doesn't have the tank ability and the maneuverability in mid-game fights to operate properly as a hero. The Shadow Blade just doesn't offer enough. So quickly, I'm gonna show a game. Probably a lot of you saw. It's a very recent game, where my team basically fed. But I played really well early and had a couple really stupid deaths. That just kind of secured the loss. But there's also a lot to learn from this game. So this will be a quick game. I just want to show you how costly early deaths are, both sides, and especially on Slark though, because he's a snowballing hero. So I'm just going to go and fast forward. I don't like clicking through it because if I click through it, then that makes my game freeze. So we're not doing that. So making aggressive, one thing I want to highlight in this game is making aggressive plays with chasing. Like last game, it was an even game. If it's an even or a behind game, like for instance, when we're in their base at the end, if it's an even or you're behind game, making those kind of plays without your shit, or like if you use your ultimate still to chase, you saw there at the end, I just die twice, instantly die. That's the kind of stuff where if you're behind or it's even, you can't make those aggressive chases unless your ultimate is reserved for getting out. Unless you know, hey, I can ult and get out of this, you can't make aggressive plays, and that's only when you're ahead that you can do that. And I want to show that in several of these games. But I did want to start on a negative note, meaning like the lesser note. I didn't want to end showing Slark losses. This is honestly a horrible Slark game. I've now learned several times now that Slark is horrible against PL. Because PL's just hard to kill. It's just really hard to deal with. Fusel Blade fucks you, so it's really hard to deal with. This game I do go the item build that I will show you in all my wins as well. It's the same build almost every game. There will be one game where I show that Shadow Blade is a good item, but it's very rare. And I want people to get it out of their heads that Shadow Blade is core on this hero, because I do not believe it is. So we're still fast forwarding. Same starting items. Solo offlane Clockwork. You'll see this matchup a lot. Clockwork is a very popular hero, so this is how you behave in the matchup. I want to show you how I play it aggressively. I get the rune, pounce out. Perfectly worth for me. Buy my Stout Shield.
So what you're going to see here is when I do the same way that Illidan did it in terms of like you'll see some aggressive plays where you get harass off just using pounce. And it's really important to do this kind of shit as Slark. I buy my Bassi right away. It's basically my replacement for a Quelling Blade in terms of last hitting damage, and I know the guy's not going to be able to outlast hit me. Right here, I make sure if he's going for the deny. Okay, so this is actually a really big thing that people never do in lane. So for instance, I'm a Slark against a against a Clockwork who has less regen, in my opinion. He's going to get less out of this lane, and he has less regen. So I'm a Slark who has more armor because of my Ring of Bassi, and more damage because of my Ring of Bassi. So if he comes up for a last hit, instead of trying to contest him for it, just watch how I handle it. That's like, it's a really big deal that nobody does in lane. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm amazing, but just watch this. Watch what I do here. So this is range creep. He's going to come up and contest it. You can tell that's what he's doing. He's looking to deny it when I hit it one more time. So instead of going for the last hit, I start hitting him once, force him to back off, secure that last hit. He goes up for it again. I'm not going to hit that creep. He's going to get that deny, but I pounce him. Look how much damage he takes for getting that deny. There's nothing I could have done to stop him from getting that deny. He loses almost all of his health for getting that deny. And that's the things that people have to do is punish them for that kind of shit. You can't stop him, but you know what he's going to be doing. That's a predictable thing. If he goes for that deny, I'm going to pounce him. And the only way I miss that pounce is if he doesn't go for the deny. So if he doesn't go for the deny, that's also a win. So either way, I'll throw out the pounce because it's worth stopping him from doing that in the early game. Every CS matters. I'll emphasize it again. I've said it before. Might as well be on a guide that decent amount of people will watch. When you're last hitting under tower with about this much damage, what you do is you check the creeps, melee creeps, health after 2 tower shots. After 2 tower shots. So for instance here, I'll show you when I did it. Free camera. It's a really important last hit tip that I learned. You check the melee creep's health. Can I really not check it? Really? Jesus Christ, the struggle is real. Check this melee creep's health. It's at 300. That actually doesn't help me at all. Oh, wait, no. Oh, okay, no, it's the wrong creep. We're perfect. We're good. I'm just going to fail a bunch of times, and then I'll finally get it right. So I'm going to tell you the tip, and I'll show you what I did here. So I'm going to check this, whatever creep starts getting attacked, this one. So after 2 shots, it's at 6... Oh, God. Man, really? Okay, after 2 shots of the tower, it was at 362 health. If you guys saw the clip of it briefly there, it was at 362 health. You start your basis from 350. If you are 60 damage, you don't hit it when it's at 350 health. If you have 60 damage, you don't have to hit it if it's 350 or less. So what that means is, if it's at 355 and you have 65 damage, you don't hit it. But if you have 60, you do hit it. That creep was at 362. So that means that if 60 is at 350, then I have to have 72 damage to not hit that creep once before I hit it again. So I have 67 damage, and I saw that it had 362. So here, I set it up for a hit. You'll see here, I hit it, then the tower hits it again, and see how it has barely any health left? It's really close, but this formula works 99% of the time. Like 90, okay, I'll say 95. It'll just get you a lot of last hits, and that's how you know. A lot of people go like, how do you know? So it was at 362, which makes it, if 60 is the basis from 350, it would be 72. I had 67. Look how little health it has left. I mean, it just shows the math. Get the last hit. This one had about the right amount of health, so I didn't hit it. I checked this one. Like, we're just gonna show some tower last hitting while we're in this guide here. So this one had 305, so I don't hit it. Right? That's effectively about 2 tower shots. That one has 367. So I know that the creeps are going to hit it, so I don't hit it. Because the creeps do the effective damage that I would have had. See, that last time the creep, when it had 362, it had 367. Last time the creep survived with like 5 health, right? That time I saw that a range creep was going to hit it, so I didn't hit it. It's the same concept. I would have hit it again if I knew the range creep wasn't going to hit it. That's the kind of thing that you have to know as under tower last hitting. Whenever you can, buy your items. I buy boots next. Really important. But as you can see, that early harass that I did to the Clockwork forced him to salve up, and then a little bit more harass forced him to leave my lane, which is really big. Gives you a free lane. If you get past the early stages of the laning with Slark, then it's just really good. I secured his lane. He went back to his freaking jungle to stack, for frick's sake. I don't know why he did that, though. I want to say for fuck's sake, but for some reason I felt bad. The Bassi, why I emphasize it early, is when somebody leaves your lane, Slark is a horrible tower pusher. Horrible. So this having it early on, it makes it so that I can push the tower. It's really nice. Using the Bazzi just to push tower. Makes basically any hero a tower pusher. So as you also know, when you are aggressive in lane, or when you're ahead in lane, this is another tip. As you well know, if I A-click this guy under their tower, it's going to start hitting me. So instead of using my A-click to harass him, I simply walk up to him with a Pact. Pact is very strong for harassing. So I walked up, give him a little harass when he goes up for these range creeps. I can't really stop him from getting the range creeps, but I can do that. So that's setting yourself up for kills. You know, I'm looking to be aggressive on him, force him back away from that range creep. Just being aggressive with Slark is a really big deal. My supports are pulling. You know, fuck it, why not? Why don't we just show perfectly how to last enter the tower? I'm not the best at it, but let's show in depth. This creep right here, I check its health. 320. Okay, I don't hit it. Simple. Easy last hit. Check this one. 318. Don't hit it. Easy. Can't really get that one. I mean, I probably could have gotten that one if I timed it perfectly. Point is, pretty simple tip. Get you all the last hits under the tower. Okay. If you do it properly. It won't make you miss because of guessing. You don't want to miss because you guess. So right here. Sorry, I keep fucking up. Another example of when to get a pounce for the harass. This is one of those. If I miss the pounce, fuck it. I lose 75 mana. If I hit the pounce, big harass. Boom, hit the pounce. Look how much harass damage he takes. Forces him to frickin' TP back to base. Look at that. That was all it was a pounce. Really nice. He's a level 3. Oh, he TP'd back to tier 1. Even greedier. So we're going to go back to player perspective. So now, because I did that other pounce, right? Because I did that other pounce, look at his health. I see this now, and at nighttime, this is something you can do. I reach around. At daytime, the tower sees you. Reach around. Come out of vision. Use the pounce. Nice kill. Easy secured kill. Get out. Overall, that wouldn't have happened without that first pounce. That pounce will just... Pouncing for harass just sets up that kind of shit. I fly myself a clarity at this point because of my mana, and I'm using the courier anyway. Because the courier was at base and I wanted a clarity, I didn't fly a clarity, I'm retarded. I should have flown myself a clarity. We're going to say that right now. I flew myself my whole magic wand. Really good against clockwork, just in case he mana burns you early, because you want to be able to get a mana burn into a pounce, or like a stick into pounce. You really want to be able to do that. So I turned my Aquila on, constantly pressuring the wave. As you see there, I pressured the clockwork again. And, you know, just because of that first kill. That was only because I got the first kill. I'm far enough ahead where, you know, he's under tower. I have treads, Aquila. If I went for Midas, I wouldn't be able to do this. Let's just be honest. This doesn't work with a Midas. Go in, have intreads on before the stipple pounce, and a kill. And then I get out. I also have my ultimate. That's why the stick was really necessary. I wouldn't have quite had enough mana to ult without my stick. They give me a tango. We're getting ready to push. Aquila's really good for pushing. The 9 Agi, if you ever play this hero enough, you'll notice how much of a big difference it makes. He's really weak in lane without it. He's really strong with it, simply put. Get the tower off of it. Just for the record, I wanted to show this. My team's completely feeding this PL. I think I've played pretty damn well. Gotten most of the last hits, gotten 2 kills, and the current net worth is he's ahead of me by 800. At the 8-minute mark, that's about 4 creep waves. That's pretty significant. So let my support Shadow Shaman have the jungle. I hit a pretty sick pounce here. Beastmaster's on the low ground. I look to help with the fights. I have my ultimate, and having all this stuff with the stick, plus the regen, all these items allow me to have enough mana to do this. Wouldn't have had any mana to do this otherwise. Hit a nice pounce off the high ground. Get a kill on Beastmaster. Walk away. Nice kill. I go straight into drums. The extra tankiness and mana is huge for this hero. Huge. It'll be the same item build every game now. And these are all... This one, like, I hate to say, can you really blame me for the loss? We freaking 3-0 with 50 last hits at 9 minutes. I'm losing on 900 net worth. I fail a stack. Whenever I'm going back to base with low mana, I look to be efficient with my time and jungling camps. There I was going to stack it because I wanted to do it real quick. It was at the minute mark. I fucking failed. Not much you can do about that kind of stuff. I mean, you can not do it, but that's about all you can think about there. Finish one more creep. Like, that's my goal, is I was going to finish one more creep camp before I got back to base. Oh, my freaking iPad thing just rang. So this is what I want to show you about early kills. Look at the net worth. I just want to show you this. I TP in for a kill.
I went back to base. That's why I go back to base, though, is because if I don't go back to base, I can't do this. Not saying it'll always work, but you want to be able to help your team. That's what I'm trying to emphasize. I may not always be there for fights, but you want to be able to help your team. But look at this. He's up by 1,700. Just one kill on him. This is hilarious to me. He's up by 1,700. Suddenly he's up by 400. That's a pretty huge net worth swing. Fly myself, my whole drums. I just can't believe that. That's ridiculous, man. Kills are ridiculous in this patch. A lot of games I do buy a Quelling Blade, but this one, for instance, like when is the time I would have had one this game? I didn't really need it in lane. I no longer really need it now. Like I'm just on the map, farming now. Like I'm outside the base. Right here, I look for an aggressive kill, and it's because I simply missed the pounce. I didn't expect him to do what he was doing. I thought he would run. Because look, he turns around to run. I thought he was just going to continue running. But this is what drums allow you to do. The drums allow you, because even though I'm in vision, they effectively give me 15% move speed. 408 compared to 355 is a pretty big deal. Allows me to get in position for this pounce. I simply miss it. Didn't think he was going to TP. If I had hit the pounce or even just held it, I would have been able to get the kill. So slight misplay by me, but it just shows you the positioning power that drums give you. You'll see it many more times, and I'll show it every single time. Go for Sanj and Yasha next. Effectively with Sanj and Yasha and drums, as long as I come out of vision like this, I effectively have a Shadow Blade because I have 31% bonus movement speed when I activate my drums, which is the same as a Shadow Blade. So, pretty big deal. My team is fighting mid. I show up to the fight. This is what I'm talking about, though. We are behind, and I use my ultimate to be aggressive. This is what you can not do when you are behind. I use my ultimate to be aggressive. I look for the kill, and I pay my price. I get stunned by Lina during my ultimate, another hero that's pretty damn good against Slark. I didn't put her on the list, and I die. And those kind of deaths, now I'm down by 900 again to this PL. Pretty catastrophic. Those are the kind of ones that are unacceptable in these kind of games. With these kind of games, it just leaves you on an extremely thin executional threshold line. Like, you just can't fuck up. And that was a big fuck up by me. Like I was trying to emphasize earlier when I said it, but you can't play aggressively with your ultimate if you're behind. That's something you just have to not do. And I still do it, man. Like, that's the thing, is it's so hard not to do, but I still did it. But you have to not do it. So go back to farming, or I look to farm. But fact is, we're really far behind. Net worth on PL's 1,400 ahead of me. That's basically because of the death. That whole time I was dead, he was farming. So even though I was only down 900 when I was dead, or when I died, it ended up being 900 or 1,400. We look to take a tower. The drums really do help with this. May not be, you can't like calculate it exactly, but they TP react, so I know it's a fight we can't take. I immediately get out and was like, everyone just get out if you can. We lose 3, which is really bad. I think everyone could have, like, the Shadow Shaman could have laid his wards and left, but I'm not going to flame other people. It's not meant to do that. That's also hindsight 2020. So this is a really stupid death here. These are the kind of stupid plays that if you make, you just lose. I get stunned by Sanking here. I stick around greedily, trying to get the last hit, and they chase me down. I ultimate. They show up with 1 more, or 2 more, actually, and I die. That's just one of those that the minute he showed up, I should have left. Not having a TP on me highly limits me. In games like this, I TP'd out to the tier 2. If you're behind, I highly advise you never to TP out as a carry. Simply run out, and what that does is it allows it so that at all times, like right there, even if I had been carrying a TP, it would have been on cooldown. So it's a really big deal that if right there, say for instance, I had known I had a TP, I could have like ran back and pounced into the trees and TP'd out. So right here, I'm just trying to stop a push. I pounce in to get some last hits. I know he's going to roar me and kill me, so I just get out. I take some last hits. He still took the tower, but I got both Necro Books. I used my ultimate for something productive, and that's perfectly fine. That's not a bad play. Here's my team continuously feeding, not really doing anything. I'm just going to be honest. I had a couple really bad teammates that played really poorly this game, but that's not what we're concerned about. Like, I mean, when it scores 8-22 and you're 4-2, it's like 420 blaze it, actually, if I remember thinking about that during the game. Just continue farming. I see them all mid, so I'm willing to do this. Still don't have a TP on me, which is pretty bad, though. Limits my versatility of farming. We get a pick off on the Beastmaster there. Really nice. Chase with my drums, which are really useful. Like, again, can't emphasize enough that 15% move speed I just gave to my entire team. It's not just you. That is another emphasis. You're giving 15% move speed to your entire team. Suddenly I'm moving at 408 without activating a drum charge, because I have the Yasha now. I know they have a ward. Always check exactly where the wards are. I confirmed with my team that it was a lane ward. Go back to farming. This is where Quelling Blade would be useful. Slark's really shitty at tanking Ancients. My team doesn't de-ward in this game, which is a pretty big deal.
I actually believe the reason why he's questionable against Beastmaster is because like you never know if it's a ward or it's a hawk. I'm gonna stop being a retarded. It was a hawk that time. It wasn't an actual ward, so ignore me on my comments here. They roached, so I immediately backed up. I was like almost sure that they were gonna run straight through here, through our ward with the smoke. That's something that Demon does a lot, so I thought that's what they were gonna do. PL's just out farming me at this point. You can see the net worths. Bracing for a fight mid. I can't really play aggressively on the map. They just have so much catch. They have like 2 sets or 3 sets of boots of travel and a Beastmaster. Nice kill by my team. Push out bottom. So this is what Illidan did, and I'll show you me doing it. So it's not just showing that I'm flaming Illidan. Really? Please don't freeze on me, Dota. Don't do it. Okay. Yeah, I get flamed by my spectators, by the way. Moon and fucking... Moon and Jubai. Jubai flames me all the time, though, so I don't really care. So I walk up to this creep wave. What do you know? I packed in vision. Orange is so bad. So I packed in vision. What I should have done right after I packed it, honestly, was just leave. I should have left the lane. I stayed in the lane, got stunned, died. Boom. Packed in vision. Shows you everybody fucking does it. You're fucking awful, Orange. Yeah, woo. Dude, he's flaming the shit out of me. I didn't know this because I have him muted. So now everyone gets to see his flame on our guide. Why am I not slowing it down? Jesus. So, I mean, this just shows, man. I barely survived this fight. Not a perfect fight. Get in there. Get a good initiation. We pick one off to start. PL Illusions just fuck Slark, though. I always hold on to my magic wand when I'm against PL, because you just have to. Get the 2-man burrow on us. Nice play by Demon. And I barely survive with these items. Like, it's just, like, I know that may not seem like barely, but with Slark, if you get out like that, it's barely, because if they lock you down for another second, you're dead. So I'm going to go for BKB here because of all their stuns and mana burn from the Necro plus the PL. Push him off the tower. They go on me. I have ultimate, so I'm willing to go. We get a kill on Sand King. Can't really contest the PL. I sit out of vision to get regen. We turn around on him. Nice kills. Well played by me. If you notice, I took that little time to tuck into the towers, or tuck into the trees. Look how good he is. Tucked into the trees. The really big regen to do there. Don't worry. I love the flamers because if I fuck up, they flame you, and if you play well, they just make an excuse. Like, that was a good play by me. Like, let's just be honest, but, you know. So here's one thing you do when you're behind. I know, I'm predicting right now. Okay, so see this? I knew he was going to do this shit. I'm sorry, I knew he was going to do it. You can tell I knew. So, like, if I packed it on the wave, and I did it properly this time. This shows the difference between improperly doing it and properly doing it. So I know he's up the frickin' hill. So I'm going to walk up and pack this wave. I'm going to walk up and pack it, and then I know he's up there. So the minute my pack's done, I kill the range creep and I back off. There he is, looking to roar me. Nothing happens because I backed off. I get another packed off. I think I killed the Necros. Yep, I popped my ultimate again to kill the Necros. Because his roar was down. If his roar wasn't down, I wouldn't have done that. Get a Necro kill, 200 gold worth. It just goes to show how much the Necros wreck you, though. Without a BKB. That was like all my mana gone. I used 2 abilities and lost all my mana. Back to base I go. There's not going to be a fight anytime soon anyway. That's why I did it. Go to farm my BKB. But like those deaths to like the Sand King and BM bottom and like the stuff where I pursued mid, that's the kind of shit that just secures the loss. It wouldn't have happened. Like, it would have been a lot better. It wouldn't have been a win necessarily, but we would have had a chance if I hadn't done that dumb shit. I didn't even realize how much he flamed me. It's pretty funny. Needless to say, I don't really think there's much to learn from this game. I think it's pretty obvious. The PL's at 16k, I'm at 11k. I had some really costly early deaths.
I go into BKB because of what I said earlier. Those early deaths really cost me. Not much else to do at this point. You're just too far behind to make a comeback. I don't think there's much else to see in that game. So we're now going to go into my fourth game, which will be my first win. Or yeah, because the first game was a different player. Second game and third game were both losses. So we shall now go into a win. Some pretty average play by me on Slark there in those games. Some nice plays that show you how to properly use him, but also some pretty average games. This is against Earthshaker, sick. So what I'm going to say about my game here is it starts off a bit rough, and then I played pretty flawless. That's just pretty honest about my Slark play. I started off in the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes or so. I played pretty poorly, and then after that I played pretty perfectly here. So once again, even though Earthshaker is relatively good against Slark, if you know you're going to get against an offlane Earthshaker, it's not necessarily based on their draft. I just knew it was an offlane Earthshaker because it's KZZ playing it. He doesn't play support Earthshaker, so you just kind of know it's going to be an offlane Earthshaker. Sadly, I did not have any replays where I got aggro tri-laned, but it's a similar concept as to the Broodmother. You sit back, you get your XP, spam out the wave with Dark Pact when it pushes into you, and pounce away if you need to be safe. And get your levels, and then go retreat into the jungle. And don't get a Midas, like I did. That was the reason why I showed that Broodmother game primarily. Obviously, we didn't win, but it wasn't because of that. It was because I made some really big mistakes later on. So this game will really highly emphasize this game will highlight why drums are so good. Like if you're having a decent game, your team's not feeding, like everything's going according to plan, you'll see why drums are so good. Like you'll just see it a couple times here. And I want to show you why it's good. In the last game, you would have noticed that if I didn't have Beastmaster or PL, the mana burn's pretty big against Slark because mana is the only reason you have to go back to base, right? You never have to go back to base because of health, so mana is the only reason. So if you have things that mana burn you, it's a really big deal. It makes you have to go back to base when you normally wouldn't have to. It's also so that's why he's particularly bad against mana burning carries. Another thing to think about is it's really good if you're on a team with Slark that you have at least one pair of mana boots. He doesn't have a high mana pool, but he needs his mana. So that's a really big deal. This is one game where I tried a different experimentation. I'm going to buy the 2 branches eventually anyway, but I realized that I'm telling you now that I had the same concept in mind. I didn't buy the Stout Shield right away, and I think that's better. So they end up killing my teammate. I do some flamey shit, get a nice pounce onto there, and get out. That was mostly to secure the rune. Perfectly fine to do that. I knew that their stuns were bottom, or that their burst damage was bottom. Like they had already fissured, and their burst damage was bottom, so I wasn't concerned about just pouncing to get out. Like pouncing somebody and then walking away. That was the main purpose of that pounce. Perfectly fine there. Like I said earlier, I think Slark's really good with supports like Dazzle. Buy my Stout Shield right away. It's the same concept last thing in our tower. You saw in one of those that I fucked it up, and that was one of those like 5% that it just doesn't go right in terms of like the percentage calculations. Like I'm not saying that as an excuse. It actually just works that way. It doesn't always work. There is too much variation in the game of Dota 2. So right there, I wanted to show. Abusing side pull. If your support's not doing it, you'll see it later when I do it. Abusing the side pull is pretty big in Dota 2 and on the Dire side. You see here KZZ stops it, and I punish him for it. I see that he tries to stop it. I get a nice pounce off. Even if I don't get the harass, the Dazzle gets a lot of harass. Look how much health he lost because I pounced him there. Just little things. Add up. Always getting the pounce when you see an opportunity. It's what you need to know is a lot about Dota 2, meaning that you need to be able to predict what the other guy's doing. The other time I knew he was going to go for the deny. That time I knew he was going for the pull and had to run straight back. Otherwise, he's going to take a bunch of creeps. So it's just knowing what the other guy's going to do is what comes down to hitting long-range pounces. Just knowing where they're going to go, and that's when you know to throw them out. Pounces aren't the best when there's no way to know what they're going to do because they can easily juke you. But when they're forced into one option, then that's when the long-range pounces come. So as you can see here, my support pulls side again. You saw me there. You saw the click. I quickly checked that creep's health. I didn't think the tower was going to aggro that, so I didn't have time to hit it once. If you have less than 75 damage, then you have to hit the range creep once to set it up. Right there, I don't check the health because I know creeps are coming, and I just know by feel.
at that point. If creeps are coming, the whole math doesn't really do anything because other factors come into play. At that point, it's just feel. We'll go ahead and fast forward here. Got him his last hits like a god. Same build as always. Using these stacks, usually you do this shit at level, so like see here, I saw that he pulled, the creeps are weak, I'm going to Dark Pact. Usually I'd wait till level 6 to do this because otherwise the pack just costs you too much health, but as you can see here, I know that I'm going to get level 6 from killing these, so I'm willing to do it here. If that was not going to happen, I wouldn't do it. And I also saw the Earthshaker preoccupied, like I knew he was busy with the creeps. I saw him fissure already, so I'm willing to sit in the creep wave at this health. If he hadn't, I wouldn't be willing to. So I'll show you some plays that I still learn from. It's incredible how much you can still learn. I should have sold my tangos instead of a branch there. I'm going to buy a branch eventually. Went for the pounce, missed it, but still got harass off. Was willing to trade hits with him. Saw the Night Stalker, immediately ulted. He got the Void off, but the Silence has a longer cast time. So that's one of those that you just ult. Don't take any risks early game. If you think if there's even a slight chance you'll die, just don't do it. End up selling my Tango anyway because that's like okay. I want to talk about this. The only time you keep your regen is when you're against a Bloodseeker. That's the only time. If you hit level 6 and you have regen left, only keep it if they have a Bloodseeker. Pretty obvious reasons. Any other time, sell it. Obviously, I didn't do it perfect this game, but that's the tip. If they have a Bloodseeker, sell it. Same thing, backed away a little bit there after my pact was down. Look for the dive. I'm not saying this as an excuse. I actually said this wasn't a good idea. They TP'd everyone in. We got a kill. Continue chasing. Knew we weren't going to get out of this. We got 2 for 2 here, but I died. I think on Slark, that's never worth it, honestly. Earthshaker got levels. Or not Earthshaker. Earthshaker got levels for the first 2, but Night Stalker got 3 kills worth of levels. And those are supports. That's a really big deal to not let that happen. I don't think it's right to dive with Slark before drums, unless it is a kill that will happen like right here. So it's not a dive. Like I said, it's not okay to dive without drums. When they have counter TP initiate, like that other game against EG, you saw their heroes weren't really good at counter TPing. Night Stalker, Witch Doctor, like Cask owns dives, and so does Night Stalker, which is his move speed and chase potential. So like that's the kind of stuff that decides the factor, right? Like in the other game, it was okay to play aggressively. In this one, I don't want to play aggressively under the tower. So you're going to see here, I want to show this. You can see me playing skittishly. You can see it. I don't see anybody on the map. I don't see Night Stalker. And when I see anybody, I mean I don't see Earthshaker and Night Stalker, which I know is enough to kill me. I know it's daytime now. But I see Earthshaker walk up. I immediately back off. I know what he does, and I still die. That's the hilarious part. I should have pacted for this creep. For this creep right here, I should have pacted. I don't know what I was doing. I should have pacted. Boom, dead. Little mistakes right there. I saw him playing aggressively. I've played against KZZ enough. I should have known. That just goes to show that if you're feeling in danger, you should walk up and pack the creep wave. As you could tell, I was playing skittishly. I knew I was in danger, and I still let it happen. That was a misplay. It wasn't like it wasn't a misread. It was a misplay. So, got to notice the difference between those. Noticing when you're in danger or not is important first of all, and then playing correctly is second of all. So, like I noticed I was in danger, and then I didn't play correctly. I give the lane to my support while I farm creeps. Buy myself a wand. Go do stacks. This is how you do stacks as Slark. Ideally, you want to start with int and then switch to strength, just like that. I don't do it every time. You'll see me miss it a couple times here. Like right there, I didn't switch to strength. But the ideal way to pact before level 11. After level 11, your regen is so high that you don't need to switch to strength. You'd rather just be hitting him with agi for the farming speed. But you see me here. This is really good jungle efficiency to show for tips. Do that. And this is a really good one that I've actually recently learned on my own. I didn't see anybody do it. Maybe somebody's done it before, but so this is a double stack for Slark on Dire. You do that. You pounce for the other creep camp. Just use your pack to you don't hit the creeps because then you'll die too fast because you're not very tanky. So then you just go back and forth using pack to farm it. Stacked both camps. Pack to farm it. Back off, kite him again. Pack to farm it. Fly my bracer out. And what people may not understand is the bracer effectively gives you more regen because of health. So it allows you to go between camps faster. Notice how I'm low health? Building all these items with this extra strength gives me faster regen, thus making it so that the time between each camp is less. You notice that I was doing those other camps, I was really low health the entire time. I can't tell you the math because it's not exact, but all that time I'm spending regen is just higher because of the items I've built. That's really all I can say about it. It's just more regen, so it allows you to go back and forth between the camps faster. And between the lane. Now I can go out to lane when I have, like, I'll get the health, I'll just get more health. That's really all there is to it. So this kill, I'm going to be honest with you, I started with not full health, but my bounty hunter, why the fuck didn't he just throw a shuriken? Like, let's just be honest. Nice play by KZZ, but even KZZ admitted later to me before he was mad at me that if the bounty hunter just shurikened, we would have gotten the kill. He gets a really nice turnaround on both of us. Still shurikened, had so much time. He gets a nice double kill on both of us. Wasn't the perfect play by me or anything, but all that bounty hunter had to do was freaking shuriken. You saw me right there click. I didn't know if he didn't have mana or some shit, or was on cooldown, but that kind of made me angry, just because I know how big of a deal it is to die as Earthshaker, or to die as Slark early, especially against a hero like Earthshaker that needs a blink. That was that time I will openly blame my teammate. Go back to farming the jungle. This game I had a Quelling Blade because I had a lot more farming time in the jungle, as you can see here. We're not behind. If you're significantly behind, you're just not going to have time to farm. So the Quelling Blade's not a good option. But when you're doing okay, even though those are shitty deaths, like Earthshaker has higher net worth than me. Holy fuck. He's the off laner. I was getting basically free farm in the lane. He has higher net worth. Back and forth between the camps. I saw Earthshaker and him top with the lane ward, so I knew that I wasn't going to be in lane yet. Right there, I did the same thing. I packed it and pounced away. So if you saw there, it was the same thing as earlier. I was scared of a gank, so I packed it and pounced away. Oops. This is how you handle it when you're scared. Packed it and immediately pounced away. And let's go ahead and see where they're at. Just might as well. Really? Do I have to play it? Oh my god, this is so dumb, I'm telling you. And they were sitting right there ready to kill me. That's the main thing I wanted to focus on there. But just shows that that's how you handle it. You packed and pounce away. That's really all you can do. Go back to farming the creep. I saw Earthshaker TP out and saw him mid, so I'm willing to go back to my lane. No, he's no longer a threat. Fly myself my drums when I can. The courier's not at base, though. I'm good to farm this. I saw the Night Stalker there, a brief glimpse, so I know he's not even here either. But that's the kind of stuff that if I had packed it and just walked, that Earthshaker could have just fissured me and it would have been a pretty easy kill for them. And that's the kind of reason why I'm emphasizing packing and getting away. Have a TP on me ready to fight, but there's no good fight going on there, so I'm just shoving the tower. Fly the full drums to me. Force out a TP reaction. That is your contribution to the team primarily. You want to keep forcing the issue top. You just want to keep forcing the issue. Or bottom if you're on Radiant. If you force the issue and force your TPs, you're effectively helping your team. I have drums. See what they do here? Okay, there's a fight going on, right? But we're going under tower, so I'm not going to have my 522 move speed. So instead, I pop my drum charge to help my team here. Like, it may not seem like much, but this is me and a support bounty hunter that are walking through at 408, and this gets us into the fight that much quicker. Do you think? Okay, let's just be honest. Like, let's just be honest here. Can I rewind? Let's see how closely I landed this pounce. That was pretty freaking close. That was the very edge. Would I have hit that if I had 50 less move speed? I don't think so. Continue chasing with the drums, plus track. Bounty Hunter is also a very good hero with Slark. I was willing to pop my ultimate because I knew they had an Earthshaker with a blink, and the fight was already over. So that was like an insurance ultimate, It was perfectly fine with me popping my ultimate. I didn't need it, but it was an insurance where I knew if they counter-initiated, I wouldn't die because I popped it. That's the kind of stuff where I talk about if you only use your ultimate to chase, if you know you're not going to need it. And that was the case where I knew, like, the only time I was going to need it was right then with an Earthshaker counter-initiate. Stupid pounce by me. TP top because there's a lane to farm. Notice how all the shit I've done. I have one pair of mana boots. After all the shit I've done, look at my mana. Oh, it's beautiful. Don't have to go back to base at all. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Back to farming the jungle plus lane. Pressuring in the lane. Still haven't taken the tower, but as you can see, they've put up an adamant resistance to me pushing that tower. That's not because I've not been putting pressure on that lane. That is because they have been putting a lot of effort. I will most of the time go Yasha before Sanj, but in this particular game, they have an Earthshaker with a blink and a lot of burst damage. So I choose to go Sanj first because I want to simply survive that burst damage. That 16 strength is a pretty big deal. I see them top. I walked up to him, and immediately, if you saw right here, I did the packed thing when I saw him because I didn't want to get Earthshaker blinked onto. Same thing with this creep wave. I packed and pounce away, I believe. Nope, I just walk away because I saw Earthshaker in the ward. That is actually why. If I had not seen him, I probably would have pounced. Saw him in the ward, though. Looking to be aggressive. I know they have a ward there. So you're going to see here. You're going to see this is one of the funny parts. KZZ gives a pretty raffle move. I know that they have a ward because I was in vision. So you're going to see me here. This is what I talk about. Exactly. This is emphasized. I got crushed by Demon, meaning that while I was on the team, I was Slark once or twice, and I told him to D-ward a certain spot, and I was wrong because I didn't check in depth, and he missed the D-ward. And it costs. So remember this. As a carry player, supports are starving for gold. And sentries cost a shit ton of money for them, all right? So my point being is that if you're going to tell them to D-ward, you better be fucking right, all right? So as Slark, you're going to see me here checking everywhere. I'm checking my ult. So I know it can't see me there, or I know it can see me there, so I check behind trees. I know it can't see me here, so I know it's not like over here somewhere. But it can see me here. So I keep checking, so I know it's not right here. That eliminates that spot. Check right here. So I know it's not over here. So right away, and I know it can still see me over here. But I know it stops right there, right? See, so I know the vision range right there, so I'm like pinging it for him. I'm telling you exactly where it is. Boom, found it. That's the kind of shit you got to do with Slark. And there's KZZ giving the haha, because he saw me searching for his ward for a solid 15 seconds. Totally worth in coordinated Dota. Totally worth. Now we finally get the tower, even with resistance here. They deny it, and we finally get the tower, though. So here's the drums again. I packed when I'm going into their team like that because I don't want Earthshaker blink echoing me or something right there. I didn't actually know he didn't have it. Looking to be aggressive. This is when I'm okay doing it because I know exactly where he is. Kill the creep under the helm of the Dom. I see Earthshaker top, so I know he's my threat this game. Who else is going to initiate on me, right? So I'm willing to farm this creep wave. In vision, already pacting. That's the point, is you have to know your threats. If they have no long-range initiation threats, that's why Slark's really good. If you see the one that they have is on the map, then who cares, right? So you can go and farm aggressively with packed. That's the kind of stuff you have to evaluate. Like the other game, it wasn't okay for me to ever do that because they had a blink Sand King and a blink Beastmaster. So there's never a time where I'm safe. Let's just be honest about that. So I'm gonna go ahead and pact for this. It's the only creep wave. Go ahead and pounce away. Obviously, we get cast here because that unfortunate RNG. But even now, even though some bad stun happened to me, I'm over here instead of behind their tower, or in front of their tower. Which is really important for the pacting in fights and pouncing to get in better positions. Just notice how I always have mana, though. I know we have 2 mana boot pairs now, but I always have mana. So, look, who needs a Shadow Blade when you can just do this? Whenever you go on a hero with an instant stun, like Lion Earthshaker, always packed right away. You saw me right there? I packed it. Like right when we went on him. You'll see me here. I sit in the trees. You're going to see me instantly pack the second we go on him. Why? Because he's going to fucking Echo Slam. If it's a Lion, why? Because he's going to fucking Hex you. Like, it's just the same idea. If they have an instant stun, always pack instantly. You see me with all this tankiness. Look at this. Oh, it's beautiful. They're going to go on me. Oh, I'm almost dead. Oh, I'm a Slark. Oh, man. Look at that extra strength. Paying off. You don't only think about it as me having 344 health left. Obviously, this only gives me about 320 health. But you also have to remember that during my ultimate, I'm regenerating 5% of my health. So I'm regenning, because of that extra 300 health, 15 health per second. 15 health per second for 4 seconds. That is an extra 60 health on top of that. I would have died without this Sanj. Shall continue. We get a nice counter initiate. I am back in the fight. And I am out. And I go on the flying zebra, and I get out. Using cliffs for pouncing is highly advisable. I know they can see me, so I know they have a ward. I know they have a ward here because they could see me. I'm pinging it out. It ends up being a lane ward, I believe. It ends up being a ward right in the middle of the lane, which is why he missed that D ward. But I know they have a ward because they can still see me right there. See, they see me. I keep seeing little glimpses of them seeing me. I keep checking. I'm like, where the fuck is this ward? I believe it ends up being like over here. Like right where my mouse is right now.
So back to farming I go. I'm not too concerned about having a TP scroll because I want the Quelling Blade because I know I'm going to be hitting creeps. I would not object to you having a TP scroll. Goes on my Dazzle mid. Not much I can do about it. Saving pounce. Like a lot of people would just try to pounce that Earthshaker. Hey, let's go on him. Then you have no way to get out. Packed it right away while I was in vision, knowing that that was the only way I die is if I get stunned or silenced. So I packed it off the silence. Always be spamming your packed in fights. I can't emphasize that frickin' enough. Back to farming I go. Really nice that I have a Magnus. Just because it's so beautiful I have Cleave. Does not mean you buy Battle Fury in this hero. It is never a buy. I talked about it at the very beginning of my guide, and I shall mention it again for people who were not here and will not watch the guide, that the weaknesses of this hero are his low stat growth and his attack speed, and that synergize with his Essence Shift. So to solve that, you buy stats. So stuff like fucking Battle Fury and Shadow Blade even now do not synergize with this hero's kit. And that is why I'm trying to say that buying Sanjin Yasha and drums give you the chase that you need, the stats that you need, and the attack speed that you need. And that's why I think they are so good. This game, you'll see why I go BKB when you're behind or ahead. They just have so much magic damage that like raises Earthshaker and Gyro, goes through your ultimate, meaning like they can still hit you while you're invis. Playing super aggressively, I check and see that they have a ward. I know exactly where it is. Tell my teammates to deward it. This is very crucial as Slark, utilizing your dewarding potential. Packed it right away because I saw the Earthshaker. Missed the pounce. Doesn't matter. I got into position. Using this for chase. Packed it again. Boom. Chase him. Look how tanky I am, though. Beautiful. Killed both of them. Look how tanky I am with these items, plus a Dazzle healing me. Like, that's really nice. Get out of vision for health. Continue going on. Just the chase potential that our team has with the drums. Plus track is really nice, too, but the drums are really big in that regard. And it's really hard to put a number on that. Packed when I go in. New cask was down. They have no counter initiate with Earthshaker, so I'm willing to pounce aggressively. Look at the like drums plus track. Like, it's just so OP, man. You just chase them in the middle of their base, and then I get out, regen back to full while my team's pushing. Or close to, regen enough. They don't have Earthshaker, Blink Echo, so I don't really care. So in this kind of game, I just know once I buy a BKB, I'm invincible. There's just no way in hell they kill me, unless I'm a retard. So as long as I BKB properly. So one thing is Slark that's really important is when you're ahead, if you take a good fight and you get a lot of agi stacks, excuse me, I have 14 right now. You have it's a really good way to Rosh. Medallion just helps, but he's a really good tank for Rosh because if you're not actually getting hit by Rosh, like say I backed up right here for a bit, let somebody else tank, you do regen, you just take Rosh. And in this game I knew I had a BKB, we had a Quap who's a really good Aegis carrier, Slark's not the best Aegis carrier, I let her have it. I'm like, as long as I'm not a dumbass, I'm not going to die here, so we're fine. So I sell both my items here because I want a TP scroll, and then I don't actually buy one because I wanted my BKB. One thing I should have done when I farmed this creep wave bottom that I did not do was I do have enough gold, so I should have gotten the BKB completed and then bought myself a TP right there. That is one mistake I did. I want to emphasize that right there. That was my thought process beforehand, and then I just didn't do it. So here we go. This is what you do with a Slark, I purge. Okay, so I'm going to emphasize exactly, or I'm going to go into detail exactly how this happens. So I see them grouping mid. I know how fucking invincible I am. I just got my BKB. I packed to start, knowing that I have an extra 2 seconds to get into the fight. BKB, pounce. They are using everything on me. They can't afford to ignore me. My Queen of Pain gets a great ultimate because they grouped up around me. I just run into them. I am literally unkillable. I have not even ultied. I still have ultimate. I am unkillable, and we kill them all. In this patch, heroes that are very popular are ones that frontline, Gyrocopter, Leshrac, heroes that punish you for going on them. Slark does not have the same kits as them, like Shadow Fiend even, with his ultimate. Even if you kill him, it punishes you. Slark does not have the natural kit to punish you for going on him. So you have to build the items that allow him to do so. Make him tanky enough so he just does not die in a matter like... If I didn't have... Sanjin Yasha drums, I can't just walk in with a pact, because what if they, even if I packed, what if they just, like, Earthshaker ult, SF raise, and, like, fissure me in my ult and Gyrocopter ult, like, I'll just die. Like, even if I'm in my ult, I'll just die to pure damage. And that's why I wanted to show you that these items are so important, because they allow you that extra second to pact, then I BKB, then I run in, and if you noticed, during that fight, which I'm not going to go back and watch, is I was pacting even during my BKB, because the point is, your pact is 300 damage. It has no cast time, and it's 300 damage. It's literally just like if somebody's around you, it's like a free nuke, right? It's basically a Leshrac ult, meaning like you're just hitting people around you while you're BKB'd. So that's something I want to talk about that game. Let's see if I already talked about that. You saw me farm their jungle when you're ahead like that. You saw Illidan do it. You just want to start taking the more aggressive farm. That's something as a carry Slark really important. Don't take the safe farm away because he's a hero that doesn't need it. You know when they can see you, so you might as well take the dangerous farm. If the game were to extend, I wanted to talk about that because of their heroes being very bursty oriented. I would have gone Scotty for just getting tankier. I think it's the best tanky item for the hero. I would have gone Scotty and then Refresher to get the double BKB, double ultimate. The Refresher is a really great item on Slark. In that game, if I have double ultimate, double BKB, I'm never going to fucking die. So that's what I would have gone if that game extended. For anybody who's never built a Refresher on Slark, try it one time as a 5th or 6th item. It is insane. So we shall go into the next game. I think this is the one. Yeah. So this one I'm drafting, so I want to talk about this game a little bit because I'm drafting. Because of all the games, I think this was the most ideal game to pick Slark. And I'll show you why. I think Slark is really a highly situational hero to pick in competitive. So this is a game in competitive where I was drafting and I would have actually picked him. So let's see their lineup. Beastmaster plus Bounty Hunter. Right away, I think Slark's really good against and with Bounty Hunter for the bonus movement speed and the rewarding him for kills that Bounty Hunter gives, and against him because you have a way to lock him down that negates his move speed and you can just purge his track. So this game, somebody on my team advised it. I think this Abaddon pick won us the game. They have so much removable stuff. Abaddon synergizes really well with Slark. A hero like Abaddon, Dazzle, and Shadow Demon are really good because they ensure that you do not get bursted down without getting your shit off. That is something that is really good about them. Dazzle, Shallow Grave, Abaddon, Shield is basically like your Dark Pact, making sure you always get a Dark Pact off. And Shadow Demon, obviously the Disruption will save you. So having a hero like that on your team is really nice. I get an aggressive hero for support. I know they have a Wyvern. I know Lena's pretty decent against Slark, but Slark's really good against both of these heroes. Given the right situation. He's not good against Beastmaster always, but as you see here, I mean, I'm not bragging, I'm just noting to you guys that these are good players. I'm playing against Universe offlane Beastmaster this game. So you see here, I buy the same items to start. Same items. It's inconvenient because I do get harassed by a Bounty Hunter right here, meaning that when I say inconvenient, the one time it punishes you is if you get harassed a lot before the bell tolls, because obviously I don't have a Stout Shield yet. So I get harassed a lot by Bounty Hunter there, but hey, I have a lot of regen. So I'm not happy about it, but I'm okay with it. I'll immediately buy a Stout, though. It just sucks right there, because I took a lot of damage. So, laning stage, needed my Lion to help me out because they have a Beastmaster. I immediately bought a Poor Man's Shield because they had a Bounty Hunter harassing me a lot. In general, it's just better this game. Just to reemphasize what I talked about earlier, I see him going for the deny. I know exactly what he's doing. So I get the creep and then I pounce him. Pretty straightforward. Solid harassing pounce. Took off more than half of his health with just that pounce. Always important to punish people when it's predictable what they're doing. Like even the good players, like when I say it's predictable, it's like pretty obvious that when he walks up when his creep's low, he's going for a freaking deny. So right here, kind of the funky shit that happens on Dire. Not much you can really do about it. Let Lion get the XP. That's just a good offlaner play by Universe. I see the lane's pushing towards me a bit, so I highly emphasize going for pushing the wave back by hitting it instead of denying creeps. I still will go for denies, but I won't deny a creep unless it's the actual hit that denies it, if you know what I mean. So, like right there, like that deny. Right here, the lane, I'd rather just pull it back, and then I hit it once to keep the lane back, or keep push forward. Really want the lane equilibrium where it's at. Had Lion share me a Tango. Never hesitate to ask your supports for Tangos. That early harass by Bounty Hunter cost me 2 Tangos, which you're seeing right here. The regen I usually buy is enough, but right here I didn't quite have enough because of that early harass, which sucks, but
I do believe I fly myself more regen. Yeah, I fly myself a salve. Never hesitate to do that as well. The only way I was going to get both those creeps is if I packed it, so I did it. Never hesitate to do that and to judge when that is appropriate. I don't really need the Bassy this game. I could have used it for helping to push against the Beastmaster, but as you can see here, it's... so that was really annoying. I got my salve canceled by Bounty Hunter in the back. I don't really blame myself for that. Not much to do about that. I know they're looking to be aggressive on me, so I'm sitting back. But now that I'm not going to be tanking any creeps, I'm willing to go out and hit them. I'm going back to base here. I know I can't farm the lane anyway. I saw Wyvern a brief bit there. I know they're looking to kill me before I hit my level 6. And that's something where it sucks that it happened, but I refuse to die. I'd much rather go back to base than die. Especially when they're committing 3 heroes to pressuring me like this. So right here, I know they're still here. I haven't seen them show up anywhere else. I see Bounty Hunter mid, so I'm willing to play more aggressively here. But you still see me play like... I'm still playing relatively passively because I'm now level 6. But I'm willing to like farm these creeps right here. Same thing with the fact. I fuck it up though. Wyvern's still here. And I always save my pounce. Like right there, if I saw the Beastmaster commit harder, I would have immediately pounced. Playing really far back. There's just no other way to play it. Like he's just look how hard he is for like wanting to kill me right here. Like look how hard he's trying to kill me. Walk up for this creep. I immediately packed and pounce, or I immediately just pounce actually. No questions asked. I know they're trying to dive me. Summon a hawk. I yell at my team. They're freaking diving me. Look at the TP reactions. It's insane. Abaddon shields me. Or just heals me, whatever. We buy a sentry. Kill the ward. Didn't know they had one because I didn't have ultimate yet. Nice TP reactions. That's just really safe play by me that paid off. And well played TP reactions by my support squad. Now that I have my ult, farm some stack with my pact. Nice recovery farm. My lane may have been 1v1, but it was really like a bounty hunter there half the time, and then a wyvern there before my level 6, so it really wasn't an easy lane. But nice kills. Go back to the jungle. I know my lane's being pressured. No hesitation to just jungle. Flight out my Aquila. Probably could have flown myself a Clarity as well there. Buy a Quelling, because I know I'm going to be doing this. This is something you need to do on Dire as a safe laner. And this needs to be very specifically done. I've coached people that, for some reason, who watch my stream, who see me do it all the time, that still do it wrong. You pull the creep camp at the 53-second mark towards this path. So there's a reason why it's this path. So you pull it towards this path, and then you let the creeps aggro, and then you loop your hero this way, because if you let the creep wave from their side come up here, your creeps are going to de-aggro these and go back to these. So you have to come up and tank this creep wave, which is Slark is really easy because you just regen all the health back eventually anyway. So you do that. Just denies this bounty hunter all the farm, right? Like it just makes it so he doesn't get that creep wave. It also allows you to go farm this creep camp because it's stacked. But at the same time, I didn't see anyone on the map, so I wasn't going to go do that. I just went and did the small camp. I know it's going to be there for me next time. Push out the wave one more time. I believe I either do it now or I looked. Yeah, so I know that they're here. I'm not willing to get low from this camp to do this one, but now I'm willing to do it because I see them on the map. Switching to strength when my Dark Pact goes off. Nice triple stack for me there. Really nice. Don't know why I flew myself those items before I had the full... Or, I don't know why I did that. That made no sense. I should have just flown the full wand, but that's okay. Continually putting pressure on this wave, forcing someone to be here is really important. Fly myself my bracer plus my wand now. Sit regenning health. Like I said, I tuck myself in trees. Want to be full health for whenever someone comes back, and it allows me to do shit like that where I aggressively push, and I lost 400 health for doing it. All the little things add up, man. Put pressure on the tower. Go back to farming jungle. See how it forced out a rotation from the wyvern? It's basically a 4v4 right now for the rest of the team. Look to be aggressive on him. Knows I can't go. Just push out the wave. I know I have a quap now. Nice bottling from her. Really pays off for me. I looked to cut down that tree and be aggressive, but he was gone. Still pressuring the wave really hard. Always pushing it. I see everybody else on the map, So I'm willing to just keep pushing it. Like I know that I'm going to force a reaction first. Otherwise, I would have gone back to the jungle. If I know somebody's already reacted, I'll just go back to the jungle. But right now, I'm just forcing it. See, now I force a forward. I force a reaction from the Lina. I saw her coming. I was going to go farm that camp, but then Quap took it. Probably could have stack pulled there. Probably a minor inefficiency. Same thing, just packed and get rid of the wave. Go back and farm the jungle. I know Lina's there. She's a core. It's not like I'm going to stop her from farming, so I just get more farm myself. Fly myself my full drums. Juggernaut with the classic Boots of Travel Rush. What the fuck? Playing really passively. I know everyone's gone. Beastmaster primarily because he has a long range initiate. I see Bounty Hunter with a under the tower being really stupid. I don't know why. My nuke plus Pounce plus Bloodseeker nuke put him in range of Bloodseeker Vision. I don't know. That was really bad play by him. So I go on Bloody 9 here, and it just shows that, like, at the 14-minute mark with these items, I end up dying, but look how tanky I am. They blow Winter Wyvern ulti, 4 heroes, and a Beastmaster ult, and they bring me down barely. I didn't even ulti. I didn't know they were all here. I could have ultied and sticked that whole time, probably. It's just like they bursted me down in the matter of a Beastmaster ult. That was me playing really greedy. I should have ulted earlier. But like, look how it just shows how much they blew on me. I know we lost that fight, but like, it shows you how tanky this hero is. So Bloodseeker really smartly takes monkeys forever, as we all know him. Took the tower because he knew they had no fort. Bloodseeker, classic, Juggernaut Boots of traveling in at the 15-minute mark. Go back to the jungle to farm. At this point, I sell my poor mans. That's why I usually don't buy one unless I have to. The drums really nice for the chase here. Can't tell you that I would not have gotten that kill without, or can tell you that I would not have gotten it without the drums. I should have Quelling Bladed down the tree. Nice kill there. Just walk away. Really helpful to supports. I leaped away knowing he would try to ultimate me there. Didn't quite have, the drum charge was on cooldown. I actually thought I fucked that up during the game, but it was on cooldown. But for instance, like pouncing away, if you don't have packed up, pounce is another option because like they would have probably killed me if I hadn't packed or pounced right before that ult. I know they have a ward, so I tell my team. I believe he dewards it. This is one of those where I didn't tell him exactly where it was, which was wrong. Should have told him it was farther up. I believe I knew, and I didn't say it. So this game in particular, I knew they had a Boots of Travel Juggernaut. I knew they had a Beastmaster Hawk. I knew they had a Bounty Hunter. So this game, because you can just purge off track and go into Shadowblade, I knew it was a great game for Shadowblade because I'm not behind. We're not forced to fight 5v5. And they have a hero that can see me almost anywhere on the map whenever he wants to in the Beastmaster. So you can see here they're pushing my tower mid and they're diving, but I'm just pushing this tower really hard top with my drums plus Aquila. It's just a really good pushing item. It gives all your creeps that 5 attack speed. It adds up. And I got it. I got the tier 2 tower. And then I TP in for the fight. Good fight for my team. We pursue. Nice kill. I didn't even need to be there, but I showed up towards the tail end of that fight, and the items I chose allowed me to push that tier 2 before the other team even pushed. So it's like, as Slark, the big thing is, since he's not the best team fighter, you want to force people to separate by forcing them to come to your lane, and if people team fight at your lane, then you fight with them, man. That's the main thing about it. Those are the games that are ideal for Slark, where that can be accomplished, and that's what I did this game, which is well played by me. So I took my Shadowblade, I looked for aggressive kills. I see Bounty Hunter top. I loop around on him. We don't quite get this kill. I thought I'd land the pounce on him. He was actually hiding in the trees. Yeah, he ends up getting away. Kind of sucks. But same concept, still looking for kills. But not forcing anything, looking for the farm. With the drums, it very highly supplements your mana pool. I do get a regen rune here. But the drums is really helpful for sustaining the Shadowblade. So even in a game where Shadowblade is ideal, I will always get drums. Like, it is not an exception time. And I will always miss every single last hit in the mid lane. It's playing aggressively with farm. I can't see any of them, so I'm kind of concerned. So I take a brief step up to the high ground, as you saw there, just because I have night vision to check if anybody was right there. Nobody was, so I was willing to go hit the catapult. Saw Beastmaster mid, so I'm playing aggressively top, pushing in the lane. Whenever you have lanes pushed in, it reveals a lot about where they are. If somebody doesn't farm that, it's pretty obvious they're looking for kills. Otherwise, just forcing the issue. So I look to be aggressive here. That Juggernaut built a blink. He's also the guy that replaced me on my team, Raffle. Team fight goes on. Shadow Blade for Chase. I know that he's going to die, so I continue after the Juggernaut. Land a nice pounce on him here. Nice kill. So it's always important to note it, like who the priority targets are. If I had stopped to kill that guy TPing, it would have not been a kill on that Juggernaut, most likely. So continued farm aggression on the map. Notice how I've been in a lot of fights. Let's take a second to see. Do I even have a pair of mana boots? I don't have a single pair of mana boots. I just fought an entire fight. I didn't pop my ultimate, but I used a Shadow Blade, a Pounce, and like 2 Dark Packs. And I still have this much mana. Just a big deal. It really is on this hero. Same thing, take a good fight. Not all that many Agi stacks this time, but it'll do. Go and take Roche. Same thing as last game. Give it to Quap again, I believe. Oh, Bloodseeker. I believe the Quap didn't have a slot. I know that they have a ward. I tell them it's across the river. TP top. But even after all that, I pounced, Dark Packed, and then leaped, and I'm still just sitting at enough mana to go farm. That just really would not happen. Like, the thing about farming is, it's okay. I understand if I don't have full mana, but, okay. So, if you farm and you have low mana, then you can't TP to fights. So, you always have to have enough mana that you're farming and you're able to help fight. So, here we see initiation top, but instead of going straight on him, I look for where their team is. We find them. Initiation onto the Bounty Hunter. Really important target to bring down. I'm willing to hit this guy for the Agi stacks, honestly. I use my ultimate to avoid getting mana burned by the creeps. I think we get the kill here. Nice, we got the kill. Chase down the universe. That sounded funny. Nice fight by us. It's always important to know what targets to go on. If they ever have a stunner like Lion, it's really important to burst them down first. That time Bounty Hunter was just an optimal target. Really good to not let him get any tracks off. Aggressively push the lane, like I just kept saying. Keep forcing out the lanes. Even after all this, I still have enough mana to look for a kill. I haven't gone back to base in like 10 minutes. I've TP'd like 2 or 3 times. I've been in 2 or 3 fights. And I'm still farming. But I'm eventually going to make my way back to base. I could have gone for a kill top, but now I'm like low enough mana where if you don't have mana to spam everything, then you don't want to look for kills. Like if you don't have at least like an ult, 2 pounces, another Shadow Blade, and 2 packs, I don't even think it's enough. Like, so that's probably 150, 270, 350. That's like 425, 450. That's about 500 mana. So I don't have 500 mana. I'm not really going to look for many kills unless it's like after that last one was a team fight when I had like 14 Agi stacks. So it's a little bit different. I'm willing to play much more aggressive if I have more Agi stacks. So like I said, take the aggressive farm for your team. I was going to go Lincoln Sphere just because they had Wyvern ulti and Beastmaster ult. Not really many things to pop the Lincolns itself. Look for an aggressive kill behind here. Force out the blink. Didn't know we had one. Just aggressive kills. Chasing into their base with Sanjin Yasha drums. Just so powerful. You move at 429 move speed even when they can see you. Huge. Push their base. Notice in these games how often it is that I'm diving their base with these items. It just allows you to be so strong with it. Right there I knew the only problem there could be counter initiation by the Wyvern ulti, so I ulted when I was at mid health. Packed it and pounced away. Re-engaged with Shadow Blade after regenerating health. Diving base again. Just simply don't die. I finally die after everything is said and done. I'm our only death. And it took them so long to kill me, and I got like 2 or 3 kills in the process. Just notice how tanky I am. It's really important to see how it's just how long it takes to kill you with these items in a game where you're not really far behind. And the effectiveness of weaving in and out of fights. And the Shadow Blade helps with that, but you don't need it. Utilizing trees and juking is very useful on this hero. 6k gold casual on the Bloodseeker. So like for instance, this game I chose Lincolns because I talked about their single target initiation. Being their primary form of initiation at all. So I'll go for Lincoln's. I don't even care if I don't get the kill. I'm willing to harass her for that. Like it just causes her, like it doesn't cost me anything and it costs her like half her health. So even if I don't get the kill. Looking for kills in their base. I initiate onto the support. Quap ulti hurts when she's got a Bloodseeker. Bloodseeker went full retard mode there, but that's fine. So this is what I wanted to show about how to siege a base with Slark. This is something I really wanted to show in the mid to late game, sieging a base with Slark. It's going to be coming up here. It wasn't right there yet. It is going to be bottom lane, and it is this game. So. So right there, just continuing to play aggressively like I showed you. I actually transitioned into a Scotty, or I was going to transition into a Scotty, because we already had a Lincoln Sphere. Just another tanky item. Didn't really need a BKB this game, so I didn't go one. They had a lot of physical damage between the Juggernaut and the Beastmaster, and even the Lina. And I also had an Abaddon, so knowing that my BKB wasn't nearly as important because I could shield it off. And they didn't have any heroes like Leshrac Gyrocopter, that kind of shit that just bursts you down even if you're an ult. It's mostly for the mid game that's the concern. That's why BKBs are usually, if it's a purchase, it's a early game purchase, or it's like a late game, like 10-second BKB. So we took Roche and they just forfeited. That's not the right game. It's obviously another game where I'd siege the base. Oh yeah, it's against Bloodseeker. So that's my, I believe that is my, yep. So I have, yeah, I even have it in my notes. I have one last game as Slark. That game in particular, I would have gone Lincolns if I didn't already have one. I'd go Scotty. And then, like I said, probably either Moonshard, Abyssal, or Butterfly. Butterfly just because they have a bunch of right-clickers. Even Lina I would consider a right-clicker. I'd have plenty of health at that point, and I just want to be tanky, you know? And attack speed's really important. Synergize possession shift. So, yeah, that's what I would have gone later that game. Like I said, all these games have kind of like spiraled out of control. So it's been hard to show you late game Slark, but I do not have any late game Slarks replays that are not expired. But I will show you the items of one of them, just to give you an idea. So I want to show you how to handle Bloodseeker, and I'm going to highly emphasize one of these times that I misplay it. And I want to show you how it's a misplay and why. So this game, Mike's drafting. We are the Dire Squad. Excuse me, drinking into my mic. Yeah, sieging bottom. Sorry, guys. One game off. It's Dire bottom. It's like I was on Dire and it's sieging bottom Radiant, okay? Don't have to flame the shit out of me. So, same idea this game. They did have a Quap and a Lina for burst damage, but it's generally good against Bounty Hunter. Generally good with these heroes. These are really aggressive heroes. I know I mean it's like Spearbreaker is going to be the frontline tank. I think Slark really does well with the Spearbreaker, but does horribly against it, as I said earlier. So this game in particular, we just had a really aggressive lineup. They didn't have the best of lanes. Like we kind of knew the Quap was mid, and then they didn't really have roaming supports. So they picked Bloodseeker to deal with Slark. We picked Abaddon again, another hero that synergizes with Slark. It's really good against Bloodseeker as well for Slark, simply because of the heal to put you out of ulti range. It may not seem like much, but having one heal on your team is a pretty big deal for Slark. So as you see here, I'm going to go the same items. Same items. I thought about building the circlet, and I didn't. I believe it's not in player perspective. Go. Secure rune for your team every game. This time it's an offlane Lina, which is kind of retarded, but you know they win for it. So one thing I wanted to show my Huskar guy because somebody did it, but I didn't get the chance to show. But it's really useful to show here is when the other team is going to block the offlane as a support. It's really useful to do this. Might as well just throw it in here. See how he's going to be here. He's going to tank the creep wave. You're going to see him here. He's going to tank the creep wave. So it stops the range creep. So it makes it so that none of these melee creeps aggro onto the range. See that? It's really useful. Makes the lane not push. See how now my range creep's going to die. So really useful tip there for support players. Disruptor's harassing, so I'm just trying to focus my best on pulling the lane back. So I will auto attack deny. But I'll make sure I get last hits. They did pull, so as you saw there, since he pulled and only did a single pull, I kited the creep wave outside the tower to make sure it didn't go into range. It ended up going into range. So we'll kind of push, but my creep wave died, so it's not going to push the wave. As you can see here, the goal of safe lane is to keep lane equilibrium, and that's what I was doing with all those moves that I just did. And that's really important as a safe laner. That's like your main job. Nothing I could have done to keep the lane equilibrium in regards to that range creep. I missed a creep to get those boots. Shouldn't have done that, but I highly emphasize trying to get boots whenever you can, if needed. If you can be aggressive, if it's a ranged hero, it's usually better. Melee heroes, you'll usually be able to get pounces off because you can predict what they're doing, so it's not nearly as important. You see Disruptor's invisible. Kiting tanking the creep wave again because they single pulled. Same concept there. Looking for the kill now. Glimpse is really strong. Pouncing when the glimpse comes off cooldown, or when the glimpse lands. That's the power of Disruptor. Just because it's a Lena doesn't mean it wouldn't have worked on like a Clockwork or something. It's the same idea. Missed another last hit to get an item, which is really bad. Not supposed to do that. It usually happens to me when I have 2 range creeps because I'm used to calculating it based on having 1. And it's not an excuse, just the reasoning. Used that opportunity. He was predictably killing that catapult. I even trash talk him for it. So we used that opportunity to get a glimpse off. Side pull. See here, I tank the creep wave. See how I'm taking it so it doesn't go to his creep, into my creep wave and take the aggro away. Really important. A lot of people don't do that. When I say a lot of people, I mean like professional players do it, but not many other people do. Same item build here. That time the courier was in use. I didn't show it, but it was in use, so I opted to go treads before the Aquila. That's really my decision maker. If the courier is available, I use it for my Aquila. If it's not, I go treads. I always go both, but it's just the order. Miss a creep because I'm bad. Not quite level 6 yet. Pacting out that wave. I'm willing to use pack to lose health because I wanted my level 6. Gain vision, or get out of vision. Start regenning. Immediately turn my Aquila off when I get it. Not looking to push yet. Where the offlaner's not getting anything. So if the offlaner's not getting anything, I'm not pushing the wave and farming jungle like I was. I'm holding the thing back. I'm holding the wave back. So that every time she comes up, like then, she gets punished for it. If the creep wave's at her tower, you can't punish her for getting XP. But when it's out there and she goes for that stupid shit, you can kill her for it. Back to jungling. Always making sure I'm not dropping below 25% because they have a Bloodseeker. Let my Disruptor and Abaddon have the lane. Because I was medium health and these creeps hurt, I took the time to stack instead of farm them because I would have gotten below half, or below 25. Use this time to strain tread switch to stack, making sure I do not drop below the threshold. That is really important. I don't tend to try to do stacks until I have level 7 because of the 4 points in pact. I also get a Quelling Blade, as you saw. I flew out the wand to myself from the courier, and I took that time to wait to use the courier until I had enough money for Quelling. Immediately fly myself the Bracer, same concept. Like I said, making sure I don't drop below half. My supports are farming the safe lane, but Leshrac was actually getting really pressured mid, so I told him he should farm safe lane. That's one of those where I said, like I said, let the other people have safe farm. You can also farm jungle pretty well. Even if he farmed jungle, if they ganked him, he'd be pretty much dead. So I'm telling him to take the safe farm of the safe lane, which is much safer for him now. Because what if like Quap +1 walked into his jungle? They'd kill him, but they can't really kill me with this build. Convenient sentry. We knew the Quap was invis, so we killed the bounty hunter with that sentry. Kind of just coincidental. Like it's like a well played by my support, but good uses of a sentry. So, Disruptor kind of just shits on the Quap here, playing aggressively. And that's why Disruptor is really good against Slark as well, because you can't do that shit ever at any stage in the game. If he ever gets that Thunderstrike on you, he'll just glimpse you. So I know that may seem like a shitty play from Quap, but I guarantee it's only made that play because he's not used to playing against Disruptor, who punishes that kind of play. So back to farming. He got 2 bashes in a row there, by the way. KZZ with the good attitude as always. Always spamming pack to farm, switching to strength when I know I'm in vision. I know I'm in vision right there. Whenever I'm roaming between camps, if you want perfect efficiency, I switch to strength because if they happen to go on me at any time, I'll have more health. We're looking to dive them here. Spirit Breaker cancels. Continue farming. Don't quite have my drums yet. The drums highly increase your ability to dive because of the movement speed. Like I said earlier, I told them we had a ward. We dewarded. Quelling Blade the ward down. Look to be aggressive. Don't have drums yet, but we have a Spirit Breaker. So that's basically the movement speed of drums, kind of. He does cancel. But you can tell we're looking to be aggressive top. But now we finally have the drums up. Continuing to farm as always. This build's really nice for farming. And it's also nice for fighting, as you see. It's one of those where it's... the item build selection I do is if you can 5-man. If you can fight the 5-man, then you build those items. With Slark. You don't want to fight 5-man, but you have to build your items so that you can. Meaning that you've kind of forced the other team to fight you 5-man when they don't want to. Whether that means ultimate's off cooldown or on cooldown, you know, they push into your tower so you have the advantage, whatever it is. Like you want an advantageous 5v5, but you need to be able to fight it. So same thing this game. I choose to go for the Sange first because of their heavy burst damage. Convenient sentry for me there. That we used a D-ward that bounty hunter was stupid enough to walk over. It shows the kill potential of Slark without a Shadow Blade. Continue pushing in the lave. Okay, so right there is a good example. I see the lion. He has a blink. Come on. So I immediately packed when I see him. And since right now I know my... So I see him. I packed. And since I know my pack's off on cooldown, I'm not willing to chase right there. Because if I got stunned right there, I'd just die. I'd die packed, or impale plus Lena stun plus ultimate plus nuke from Lena, and I just die. So now we dive again because my pack's off cooldown. We don't even need the drums now because of the Spirit Breaker. Get a double kill. Already on a mega kill. Help the Abaddon get out of the trap or something. Full Sange. Look to push the tower. So you're just constantly forcing shit top. And then we chase the co-op now. Drums are massive now. May not seem like much, but that movement speed's huge. Chasing for days. I'm orchided by a co-op. I don't even give a shit. Nice kill on co-op as well. All that attack speed, you can't frickin' sum it up. But that, like, she almost got out right there. All that bit of attack speed. Right here, I overestimate my capabilities. I thought the Disruptor Glimpse would go off soon enough, and I'm not flaming at all. He played really well. He glimpsed her almost instantly, but she managed to get her ultimate off on me, and I died. But even then, we still got a massive amount of kills, and they lost a lot of, they just lost a lot of people and only got me plus Disruptor. So we end up getting, I believe, the Tier 1 denied for it. Maybe not. But that is why I built the Sange first. Same thing this game. Yasha's a lot better for farming. Sange is better if you know they're going to be fighting you. Okay, this is actually the part I wanted to highlight. So against Bloodseeker, there's a time when you have to preemptively ult before he ruptures you, and there's a time when you don't. So the whole thing behind it is, it's kind of like a Disruptor Glimpse, where if you don't ultimate before he glimpses you, if you were once in a bad spot, then he'll glimpse you into the bad spot. So if you're against a Bloodseeker, it doesn't matter if you're ruptured, if you're like with all 5 of your team and they have to run into you guys. But when you're like by yourself or like with one other person and you're under a tower, which is like a compromisable position, if I see Bloodseeker, I simply have to ult and get out. Either ult and finish the tower, ult and get out. I didn't have my TP up, so I should have played it that way, and I didn't ult preemptively. So you'll see it here. I saw that. I knew he was here. I should have just ulted right away. I should have ulted. So I even packed off the silence perfectly, and I ulted, and it's not going to do anything. Because even though I'm ulted, and they can't do anything to me while I'm in the ult other than stun me, like, I still just die because I can't move. So the whole point is I had to ultimate before I got gone on, or before I got ruptured, so that when I used my ultimate, I could actually run away. That was like the major thing. that I had to do, and that was what was really bad about it. So wanted to emphasize that about how to play against Bloodseeker. None of this is me, so I'm not going to worry about critiquing any of my teammates. Forcing away, using my ultimate to force away a push on the tower, and that's worth it to me. That is worth it to me. Perfectly fine to do. They may still be pressuring this tower, but I forced them away by doing that. I got one more TP in. My whole team was dead, so I had to buy some time. Using your ultimate to buy time like that is perfectly fine. If I had had my ultimate, I probably would have chased the Bloodseeker there, but because I didn't, I chose not to, which is probably the right option. If he had anybody behind him like a Blink Lion, would have been bad. Full Sanjin Yasha is up. Spearbreaker is down. Not particularly looking to fight because I do not have or because we are missing one. So this is an example of when the game is even, like it was, and using my ult to chase. It's really like it just shows. I still do it. It's a fuck up. Not making excuses, but it's just showing when it's wrong. Is when it's an even game. I chase out of position. I even pacted their disables, but then they have more. Against disablers like that, I'm really tanky. See how long it takes me to get down. But that's what you do. Is like isolate. If you chase with your ult, you're always going to be faster than your team. So if you're not super far ahead, you're going to outrun your team, and they're going to kill you for it. And that's something you have to avoid doing. My team ended up taking a pretty good fight here, I think. Yeah, they freaking owned them, but that had nothing to do with me. So the point being is that chasing when you're not super far ahead, using your ultimate, usually means you're outrunning your team. They can't keep up with you. You're isolated, and even if you're tanky, they're going to bring you down. That's the defining factor. Is the fact that not only are you chasing them, but you're actually probably running away from your team. Like hardly any time when you run after somebody with your ultimate as Slark will your team be keeping up with you. Not because they're bad, but because you're fucking fast. Hiding in the trees because I'm scared of getting initiated on, really important. I see somebody get gone in the jungle, immediately TP for the fight. Take a really good fight. Using the drums plus Spearbreaker to chase. That's why he's good with Spearbreaker. The movement speed is really good. Any movement speed buffs are good. Can't possibly chase him, but we got the glimpse off. And we kill them all. Really good fight. Really important. I will just replay the fight to show how effective the chase is for our team. I see an initiation right there. This is what you need to do with Slark. They were all missing, so I was hiding. I see the initiation, and I'm like, oh shit, I TP. Why am I on half speed? I see the initiation, I TP. In we go. Good fight. Beautiful disruptor ulti. Pop the drum charge. Chase after him. Boom, they're all freaking dead. The only reason one of them got out is because he was invisible. Bounty Hunter's over there, you can tell. Just because of the Leshrac ult. Curious, did we have any dust? We did. What a bad, but I call that a Batadon. You know, to the flame. Take a tower off of it. Take another tower off of it. Pressure the tier 3 even. Force out a fort. Always pacting when I'm in vision. Always. Don't want them ever stunning you. And if they try to throw a stun on you, you just pounce. Get away. Farming their jungle. Letting your team have the safer farm like always. Buying a TP. For the record, when it comes down to slots and prioritization, I might have mentioned it already, but if it comes down to Magic Wand and Ring of Aquila, I always prioritize Ring of Aquila unless they have a mana burning hero like PL or Anti-Mage or Nyx Assassin. Then I think the Wand is more important. Wand ulti, Wand pounce, whatever it is to get out will save you more times than not. He's got pretty cheap abilities that are all supplementable by Wand. Wand activation. So looking to push bottom. My team's fighting fine without me, so I'm just pressuring the other lanes. I forced a reaction bottom. Go into their jungle. Notice how I'm just never going back to base. Really important to note there. Full BKB up. Pressure the tower. Keep pushing. BKB is up. One pair of mana boots is plenty enough to save me in terms of mana. I still have full mana, never going back to base. I was going to go Silver Edge next because they have a Bloodseeker. Really good item here. Also good against Bounty Hunter. But like I said, it's a good item once you have the items that allow you to 5-man. It's the main question you have to ask yourself. If I buy a Shadow Blade here, can I contest their 5-man? If the answer is no, it is wrong to buy a Shadow Blade. It's really that simple. So right here, I have a BKB, a Sanjin Yasha, and a Drum. I have all I need to contest their 5-man, so I am willing to buy a Shadow Blade. It is still a good item, but if you can't contest the 5-man in this patch, you are a bad hero. Negating maybe Anime Age, just because he pushes and farms so fast. And will eventually be able to. So I see them all missing, so after my pact, I retreat from the creep wave, as you saw there. Every time I pact, I retreat. Even just that bit of positioning, even if they still go on me, might save me. Will probably save me. Maybe I'll be able to get my BKB off, whatever the reason is behind the saving of me. Push out the waves. My team is mid. I'm always ready to fight. I mean, that means like I'll be able to run straight over there. They get a good pick off on the Quap. Continue pressuring lanes. It's really important to note that you will not gain much out of team fights if the lanes are not pushed. So I always try to emphasize pushing the waves. I know they had a ward on me there, so I backed off. Pushing out the lane mid. All my team is bottom. So if I wasn't doing this, all of my other lanes would be pushed in. They have one missing or one down, so I know that they're not going to contest the 4v4 because they're losing. I pacted there because if the Lion Blink initiated on me, it was important. I wasn't worried about Rupture all that much because I can always pounce up the hill. So here's how you siege with Slark. This is actually the siege. So you constantly pact. The minute your pact is down, you back off. Pact is back up. Pact. Regen your health. Walk back up. Frontline the push. Obviously, the Leshrack's frontlining it now. I Dark Pact again. Dark Pact's off. Back off a little bit. Dark Pact's back up. Go back in. Dive. I am ruptured. I really don't care all that much. I'll just back off because I know I can run to a safe position. Only time I'll run away with my ult is if I know I can run to a safe position. I'm still ruptured. They can only see me because of track, which is fine. I'm okay now. Rupture's down. Still have not BKB'd. I had to pop ultimate or BKB there, and in this kind of game, I will prioritize my BKB higher because mobility against a Bloodseeker is not nearly as important as being magic resistant. So I do, even though he earned me, I do have to pact because of the track. Really kind of a waste to earn a Slark, but this is just the siege. Walk up, pact preemptively so they can't disable me. Get out, packs up again. Not going to force anything while I'm not full health. Packs up again, have BKB. Run in. Easy kills. Pop the drum charge for the chase. They backed off, so we back off. We also have my ultimate. So I pounce TP out. I was actually accidental TP to the tier 2, but it was the right call, so it worked out. Go quick cast. But that is how you siege with Slark. Or like revolving around your pact, constantly backing off and moving in based on your pact. We end up winning the game right there. As you can see, I was going to go Silver Edge because they had a Bloodseeker. I'd probably go Silver Edge into Scotty, maybe Silver Edge Abyssal that game, based on the items, or based on their heroes. So I wanted to show that's how you siege with Slark. That was the best example I had on my options. Every game from last patch is kind of irrelevant, and they're also expired. So the one game I wanted to show that I'm done. That is basically the Slark guide. The one game I just wanted to show the items for it because it's really the only late game Slark game that I had. Was a pub. I believe it is this one. Nope. Maybe it was the loss. Was it this one? I know I was dire. Shit. Okay, as you can see here, I went Shadow Blade, Sanjin Yasha, Basher, and I was gonna go Refresher. Probably should have gone BKB, but like I said, he's actually really bad against PL. Not excuses, but replay's expired, as you can see. The one game I wanted to show one game. I know maybe it's the third game. I know I was on Dire, so I don't know why I bothered checking that one. No, I was on Dire, man. Oh. Guess I should have taken notes. I didn't take notes on this part at all. Was it a win? Oh my god. Okay, I guess it was I guess it wasn't on. I guess wasn't a loss and it wasn't on Dire, so I suck. I could have sworn it was on Dire. But in this game in particular, as you see here, earlier I talked about how I'm only willing to disassemble my Sanj and Yasha to finish the Silver Edge if I have a Scotty, because otherwise you don't have enough movement speed slow. So this game in particular, I know for a fact I went Treads, Aquila, Sanj and Yasha, into BKB, into Scotty, into Silver Edge. And then the Silver Edge was dismembered. I dismantled it to make just a Yasha, to make the Silver Edge. Built the Refresher, and then went late game Manta. The reason why Manta's really good in the late game is they had an Orchid carrier, so it's the way to deal with the Orchid. And 2 Orchid carriers, sorry. And another reason why it's really good in the late game is because Manta style illusions gain your Essence Shift stacks. So if I Manta style with 20 Essence Shift stacks on, those illusions will have bonus 60 agi. In the late game, that is really good. If you take a single fight, you can almost take like every single one of their Raxes and buildings because your illusions hit like fucking trucks. And it's also just a really good survivability item. So it's almost always good against Orchid carriers like Storm. Obviously, Broodmother is not particularly what I'd say is an Orchid carrier. But then the Refresher just gives you 2 ultimates, 2 BKBs. It's just the best late game item. I think Basher's an okay item on this hero, but I think people prioritize it way too highly. Is it good occasionally? Yes, but in the late game, I'd much rather have a Refresher than an Abyssal. Maybe like if I had gone late game, like even later on for more items, maybe I would replace my Manta with an Abyssal. But honestly, I think I would rather have a Manta than an Abyssal against an Orchid Storm. That is my personal opinion. I don't think the Abyssal's that important. We had a Doom, we had a Sheepstick, we had a lot of Disable. The Abyssal is primarily to supplement lack of Disable against heroes that need to be disabled. Because while the Bash is nice for Slark, the item itself gives him no attack speed and no agility and no stats. Like, it gives him 10 strength. But what he needs from items, and this is why I emphasize the items that are good, is tank ability, attack speed, stats, and mobility. That's what he needs in every item he builds. Items that help him hit people, items that help him catch up to people, items that help him tank a lot of shit. Those are the items he needs. So when I look at Slark and I look at items, I shall go over my classic, these are what you buy on Slark. I say every game, Treads Aquila is every single game. Treads Aquila Drum. Treads Aquila Drum is every single game. 95% of your games, Treads Aquila Drum, Sanj, and Yasha. The other game earlier I showed you is a really good Shadowblade game, so I went Treads Aquila, Drum, Shadowblade. I think drums are still important. Like, you need them for the mana, you need them for the movement speed outside of Shadowblade. So to go for the Shadowblade first, in my opinion, is simply wrong. I showed you why in the earlier game, because it's heavily reliant on snowballing, and if you don't get kills, the item falls off really hard. So it just limits your farm because of the fact that not only are you looking for kills, but if you don't get them, you're having such mana problems using the Shadowblade because you're using that to get around the map that you can't spam Dark Pact to farm and have enough mana to fight, which just heavily limits the hero. So let's talk about items. I tried going Midas. You saw me get punished for it. I really just don't think it's a good item anymore. I believe Wand is core every single game. I usually go Wand and a Bracer at the same time. Drums every single game. Never buy any lifesteal on this hero. His form of regen is in his ultimate. No reason to waste a slot. Moonshard is great situationally. I showed you the game earlier. The attack speed is effectively stats for you because you steal Agi with attack speed. Blink Dagger is a great situational item where Shadowblade's not necessarily... It's really good when you have Blink initiators like Earthshaker. It's a good, like, 5th item. It's good once you have, like, Sanj and Yasha BKB drums. Like, right after that, if you have, like, a Blink Earthshaker that rely on bursting down a target, and you need to be in the fight right when they go. So it's like, that's when it's good to get a Blink Dagger. Then Never buy anything like Greaves or Pipe or Mech or Mana Boots. Treads are always the boots. Never sing any other boots. Never a Soul Ring. Never a Medallion or a Solar Crest. Let your supports buy those. Never a Veil. Never a Force Staff. Any item that doesn't give you attack speed, tank ability, mobility, or movement speed. That is all. And Basher is the one item to that exception I just said in situations because it provides lockdown. That is his lockdown item when you are missing it. If you have lockdown on your team, please do not buy a Basher. I'd much rather you be super tanky and be able to stick on your targets really hard. Diffusal is a highly situational late game item like 5th or 6th slot once you already do enough damage with right clicks and attack fast enough simply to either get rid of Ghost Scepters, to get rid of Omni Knight, or like a Diffusal against a Warlock. But even then, I don't think it's that great. So that's when it's situational. Never buy anything like Crimson Guard. When I say tank ability, I mean it has to give you tank ability. Unless it's a BKB, it has to give you something else. So of the 4 things I listed. So like tank ability, like we're not talking Crimson Guard, or Hood. We're talking about tank ability from items like Drums that gives you attack speed and mobility. Sanjin Yasha gives you attack speed and mobility. That's why I believe those 2 items are completely core. Necrobook does not give you any of those. Desolator does not give you any of those. Halberd does not give you any of those. Shiva's does not give you any of those. Bloodstone, why would you ever? Lincoln Sphere, 100% necessary against a Spirit Breaker. Otherwise, if you're snowballing, you don't really need damage. Like you don't need much damage. Earlier I was talking about it. If you don't really need damage, you don't already have one on your team, and they have stuff like long-range single initiation like Wyvern, Beastmaster, Bloodseeker. Really good there. 100% against Spirit Breaker, but otherwise it's really good in those scenarios. AC is a perfectly fine late-game item, depending on the situation of the game, but I would always rather have a Refresher. I would always rather have like a Silver Edge in most games. Like it's kind of a highly situational, hard to explain. It's most important when the other team's a lot of physical damage, or you need to focus on pushing out a lot of creep waves because it's just better for that, and pushing towers and sieging and all that stuff. Never buy a Heart. Never need an Octarine Core. Mjolnir's decent situationally late game, probably like a 5th or 6th item against a PL. Would probably be the one time I'd say it's good. Maybe against Naga 2. Probably against Naga 2, actually. Yeah. But when I say that, once again, 5th or 6th item, like you have to have like Treads, Drums, Aquila, Sanjin Yasha, BKB, and then a Mjolnir. Instead, it's like replacing a Moonshard effectively in those kind of scenarios. Never buy Daedalus. MKB is okay because you rely on your Essence Shift. So if you're not hitting your target, like if you miss, it doesn't give you Essence Shift procs. So if the other team has late game Butterflies or mid game Butterflies, and it's like a 5th or 6th item, MKB is perfectly fine. It gives you a little bit of attack speed, but the main focus is the fact that you need to be able to hit them to get the Essence Shift. So the reason why attack speed's so good is because of the Essence Shift procs. Yule's is completely horrible. Doesn't give you any of those. Orchid as well. Doesn't give you any of those. It gives you attack speed. That's about it. Really horrible item. Atos, no attack speed. No mobility. Yeah. That sums up every item, I believe. Lotus Orb is a support item. Battle Fury doesn't give you any of the things I mentioned. Blade Mail, same thing. Armlet, just not any good. Hard to explain. You're struggling for slots. I'd much rather have Drums. I'd much rather have a Sanj or a Yasha than this. It's about the same cost for all those. Same thing with Crystallis. Just don't need a damage item on this hero. Your damage is stealing so many stats that you hit like a truck. Yeah. Moonshard is great, either as a 5th item like I talked about after BKB in the game I showed you, or just even late game if you've already have 6 slots, just getting that extra 60 attack speed, really good on this hero. That's about it for items on this hero. That does wrap up my Slark guide. It's been probably about, how long has it been here? It's been a long guide. I have streamed for 3 hours, 3 minutes, and 3 seconds. Such a perfect time. So last thing on items, I'll answer some questions for the hero. I already said that the Blink Dagger is only purchasable better than Shadow Blade when you have like a Blink Initiator. When you need to be there on top right when they get in. So like if you have like a Blink Earthshaker and they have a Storm Spirit that you need to burst down, Blink's a lot better than Shadow Blade there. That kind of stuff.
SNY. I did say SNY and Scotty. A lot of these games I've said I go SNY. I always go SNY first, always. The mobility is just too good. The slow is good enough. It's a 32% slow that you'll almost always get. Scotty is not essential, though. It is like a 5th or 6th item after BKB almost every game. Some games where you do not need a BKB, you will buy Scotty. I did not get unvouched for people who are asking. I just took a couple days off because people are assholes. I will not be playing a game. This will be on YouTube. This is about as in-depth knowledge as I can give. Anything about Midas I've already answered. I will never buy a bottle on this hero. It's just more expensive. Wand is primarily right during the fight to activate it. Bottle synergizes nicely with your ult, but you want to sell that item pretty quick, I guess is the best way to word it. I don't know what else to say. Wand's just better. Butterfly is a perfectly fine late game item. After BKB, it's an option. I'd almost always rather have a Scotty though. Butterfly is okay, but I'd also rather have like I said, refresher. It's really just mainly if they have stuff like Storm Spirit is like int carries that don't want to build MKB. That's when Butterfly's good. Like if they have carries that build MKB, like Shadow Fiend and Gyro and all that shit, like Butterfly's not any good. But if they have carries that don't want to build MKB, even Anti-Mage is pretty good against. That kind of stuff. Yeah, I think that I used to do it too, but I think Scotty before SNY is just completely pointless. SNY is just a better item for the hero. I'm a trash streamer, thank you. Maybe keep power treads on strength most of the time. I don't agree with that, so no. Would you say Silver Edge is worth prioritizing against a PA over MKB? I would go Silver Edge as like a 4th or 5th item. And even then, I would rather have an MKB, actually. Most games, I would prioritize an MKB over Silver Edge against a PA. Highly. I already explained when Silver Edge is good. I don't think Silver Edge... You don't rely on Silver Edge for the main. You simply don't. For the active. You just don't rely on it. If it synergizes well with the rest of your hero and you can already 5-man build it, otherwise it's just not any good. It's not worth the 5k gold. I'd much rather have a Scotty. I'd much rather have a Butterfly. I'd much rather have a Refresher. Like all those things I'd much rather have. I already said no lifesteal. Do you buy Quelling Blade on every game? I said if you're not if you're even enough or ahead enough that you're allowed to farm, then yes. There was a game on here I did not buy it, and you can see because I was really far behind, didn't really have any reason to, or any room to farm. Standard is Treads, Aquila, Drums, S and Y, BKB. That is standard. Lothar's is not standard at all. Let me repeat that. Shadow Blade is like a 1 out of 10 games purchase on Slark. I know that's so hard to grasp, but it is. Orb of Venom early, never for me. I said that, that's a different playstyle. Limited slots, 275 gold early. I just rather have the mobility of Drums. Why do you think that Drums is getting picked up more compared to 6.83? The active is really good, and early game fighting is much more important. So an item like that contributes a lot more to fights. Will you build the same items when you're playing a Slark from behind? Yes. I am not unvouched. Slark is really good in pubs. Shadow Blade is the right item in pubs, but it is not the right item, period. Okay, it's the right item in most pubs because people won't deal with it properly, but if you're above 5k, it's not a good item. Would you ever consider swapping treads with bots? Late game, yes, but not, and like you always build the treads. That was my point. Like you always build the treads, but yeah, late game, yes. Why is my item build on Slark completely changed? Because the game fucking changed, my friend. Because the game changed. What do you mean, what happened? The fucking patch happened. Every single game this patch has been the same. Or it's like amounted to this idea. And it's been a completely different patch. It is not possible to play Slark as any other position than carry. One thing I did not highlight as his weakness is that he cannot aggro tri-lane, he cannot off-lane, he cannot mid. So that makes him he gives away your lanes. That's why he's a 4th or 5th pick. Completely gives away your lanes. Heroes like PL, Gyro, all that shit can aggro if they need to. Slark cannot. My stream right now is just a guide. It's a late stream. I will stream tomorrow. Any tips for playing against Slark? Like I said, 5-manning, buying the proper detection, buying, working in coordination. Other than that, it's not much. I told you the heroes that are good against him. I'm not going to repeat myself. That was in the beginning of the guide. Silver King, sorry, man. That just won't work in good play. Soul Ring, you won't get away with it. I can understand the idea behind the build. It won't work, man. It's too much gold. It won't work. If Slark was given an, you'll buy Soul Ring and then Soul Ring Lothar's Rush. That costs you 3,300 gold. You'll probably have it around the 10 to 12 minute mark. If you went for treads, it'll be the 12 to 14 minute mark. And by then, any good team will just have grouped up, or they'll just kill you because you have no health. I don't know about an Axe upgrade. Have you ever gotten 2 rapiers on Slark before? No. I've never built in a rapier on that hero ever. It's not any good. Do you use Dark Pact on a creep camp? Twice if it's a hard camp. Well, if you need to, yes, absolutely. Depends on how fast it is. How would you play and itemize against an Elder Titan? I'd probably build an AC. I didn't even think about it, but I would build an AC. Same build, but I'd build an AC like 5th item. I'll be streaming FPL tomorrow. Soul Ring's a never. Why is Shadowblade no longer viable? I already answered that question throughout this entire thing. When is it good to get a rapier? Never. I'd just rather have attack speed on the hero. Do you plan on apologizing to KZZ for whatever he's flaming you for? I'm not apologizing because I have no reason to. I know what I did wrong in all the games. I'm just an annoying little fuck to play with, and I need to fix that. But KZZ is completely in the wrong for the other thing. I pop Soul Ring for Go Lothar's, and I have 150 free mana to pop. It's not a good build. You buy Lincoln's versus Bloodseeker, right? Situationally, yes. Not always, no. Like, it'll be like a 5th item. I don't even think it's worth it, though. I'd rather just play it properly. Like, if you saw my game just now, when we were ahead enough, I just positioned properly, and when he ulted me, I just got back into the middle of my team. If you're 5-manning, you don't need it. Refresher's still very good. Good 5th or 6th item. Really good last item. I'm going to say that right now. Really good last slot item. How good is Slark to climb? If you're a really good Slark player, he's really good. If you're not, he's not any good. I am going to upload this to YouTube, yes. It will be up, like, right after this stream. Shadowblade, nothing happened to Shadowblade. It happened to the meta that people 5-man in the first 15 to 20 minutes really hard. Last patch was a lot about farming. Now Shadowblade's bad. I didn't see your question. Sorry. The list for this is things that are unpurgeable. I talked about it at the start of the stream. Sorry. For people who just got here, these are everything that's not purgeable by Slark. This was Disruption by OD, and like the finish of this was Disruption by OD and Shadow Demon, and then Windrunner and Omni-Knight passives, or Windrun passive and then Omni-Knight passive. Stuff that breaks Pounce. The end of this, I didn't realize it cut off. Go ahead and post. I'm just going to post the rest of them. We have Ricky Blink. Sorry, I did not see that. Vince, these are all the things that break the tether, and then the first list, along with, like I said, the disruptions from OD and SD. Oh, I didn't know. There's a lot more, actually. I'm just going to post them all. Shit. These are the things that you cannot purge. These are things you cannot, or that break Pounce, and these are things that cannot be purged along with these non-purgeables. Pounce breaks. How do you deal with BS early game bottle? I already showed you. You just simply don't dip below half. Keep your regen. Always have a TP on you so that if you do dip below half, you just ulti and TP out. It's the best way to deal with it. I don't think it's worth spending money on. It's not worth buying a bottle. It's my opinion. AC good versus Slardar. Is Dark Pact reliable enough to disable his ult? I think it's better if you have teammates that build Vlads or AC against Slardar. I don't think it's the right item on Slark for that purpose. Against heroes like Elder Titan, I think it's just better. Do you prefer being Radiant or Dire as Slark? I actually have no preference in that regard. Maybe Dire just because you can abuse the pull better. He's a hero that abuses the pull really well just because of the mobility from his ultimate. Like being able to farm the creeps and everything, but I really have no preference. Disruptor Thunderstrike cannot be canceled by Dark Pact. Don't know what you're talking about. Illidan's still buying it on this. I literally spent an hour of this replay, 45 minutes of this guide explaining through Illidan's game why it is bad. So just watch. Number 1, Slark builds Blink. I'm not even going to comment on it. It's not worth it. I already talked about Blink. Why is Orchid not good versus Storm or Void? Because people that are any decent will just buy a BKB or Yules and you'll fall off like a truck. Fall off a cliff like, heavy rock or a feather because it falls at the same speed. Probably said it before. Was this pro Slark guide? I said about it in there. It's everything. Primarily for higher level pubs. In lower level pubs, go ahead and buy your Shadow Blade and kill people because they'll never do anything about it. That won't make you any better at the hero. That is my opinion to you. Mom on Slark, never. Manton Slark, I already talked about it. Late game item, very late game, always Sanjin Yasha. Only when you have a Scotty already to disassemble your Sanjin Yasha to your Silver Edge, and then you build a Manta. It's the only time. Radiance is a never. Support Slark's never a thing. Yule Slark's never a thing. Sorry for not watching that part. Sorry that makes you a retard. No, it doesn't. Just know if I tell you it's in a part, just respect that and don't keep spamming the same question. Sorry, Weemskreek. Sorry, man. I'm just tired. Sorry if I came off as pissed. It's just frustrating. It's frustrating to have to repeat myself, even though it's not your fault. Sorry, man. What do you think on Illidan's carry against EG? Miss your analysis? Just watch it, man. It's in here. It's on there. That is actually a game I picked. Stop asking about Chilanqua, please. I'll just freaking ban you if you keep doing it. I don't mind being asked, but if you keep spamming the question, I ain't going to answer it. I already talked about Manta. I already talked about hero synergies. Please just watch the guide. Can you lane Slark safe against Undying? Yes. If you're against Undying, you have to be solo unless the support can somehow harass him out of lane. If it's a support like Skyrat that's strong enough to get rid of him. Otherwise, you have to be at solo so you get levels. You'll lose the lane, but you'll get levels. It's kind of like the Broodmother game that I showed. You'll lose the lane, but you'll get enough out of it that it like Broodmother and Undying fall off hard enough that you can lane it against it. He's a pretty good hero against Undying when it comes to like mid to late game, but he's not like no hero really outlanes Undying as a carry. So like other than like Gyrocopter. I didn't have any pub games where I picked Slark against Undying, so because I haven't really played many pub games, and all the other ones were expired, so I didn't have a chance to pick them and show you that. So I might extend this Slark guide with a couple games if I see a very specific scenario that it appears good. So, but sorry, I can't really do that. But I just wanted to thank you. Pugs Over Drugs for the 4-month subscription, and might as well take this time to mention I wanted to thank Big Impulse for a $10 donation during my Slark guide, and Dejackinator for a $5 donation. Big Impulse just gave a woot woot, and then Jackinator said thank you for doing an in-depth guide. A lot of people don't take the time to do them. No problem, man. Do you think it's better to get close-up and pounce or go for the long-range pounces? I talked about a lot of that in my guide. I'm using a Razer headset Kraken. How are you working on improving your map awareness? What in particular are you doing? I think my map awareness is a lot better now. It just comes down to decision making. I actually think I have really good map awareness. Every time I die, I actually feel like I'm in danger, and then I just don't play properly. So it's just decision making at this point. Just making sure you keep your head on a swivel. Looking at the mini map is really important. Constantly checking items when you have the chance. If you ever have downtime, checking items, stuff like that. I think Slark's one of the best late game heroes in the game. When it comes down to comparing him to specifically a certain hero like Void or Spec, it all comes down to supports at that point. I think he can go toe-to-toe with any hero late game, though. Are you overall satisfied with FPL? No, a lot of people have really poor attitudes, and I need to be better as well. So, Slark illusions do get the passive agi, yes. They don't steal agi, but they get the one that you've already stolen. I would never get. I already said the skill build is non-negotiable on Slark. Said that at the start. If they have a tank off lane dual lane, then most carries will lose to that. So picking Slark is perfectly fine. You just have to leave him alone to get solo levels. If you're a support and you take a support Slark's levels and he's not getting any farm, you're just fucking him in the butt. Which I already said that Slark is bad against early 5-man push. I do not think I am as good as Arteezy. Think you could be a top level carry that you need to improve your hero pool? I'll never probably being able to play as much as Fear. I think my hero pool needs to be extended, but as a carry player, I think my versatility needs to be that I can play more mid laners because a lot of carries can play mid as well. In the rare situations that is required, like I see Illidan go drow mid and shit. But like when it comes down to carries, I can play 1, 2, 3, 4. I can play sniper, but he's not really a carry. 5, 6. Probably a couple games of Nog I could practice and have it down, so I'll say 7. Technically 8, but he doesn't count really because he doesn't play. I could play Ember Spirit pretty decently, 9. Can play Razor, 10. Void, 11. Viper, 12. Could work on Clinks, could work on Bloodseeker. 13, 14, 15. I can already play 15 carries just from the Agi pool. 16, 17. I don't know, 18. 19, probably not a very great CK player. 20, 21. I could probably play CK, but I'll safely say 21. I mean, my hero pool is pretty decent, but people seem to not think so. A lot of the popular heroes right now are heroes that weren't originally popular and I never played. Like, I'm not the best Bloodseeker player. I'm not the best Quap player. I'm getting better at her. Not the best Leshrac player. Still working on him. I do need to expand my hero pool, but I don't think it's that bad. When are Slark's big power spikes and how do you take advantage of them? They're when he gets his BKB SlanJamma drums. I think it's when you pick up your drums. Drums is the first power spike. If you're ahead, SlanJamma is another power spike. And then once you get your BKB, if it's a close game at all, like if you're not behind, then that's when you're really powerful. And that's when you try to win a good fight, have like, 5 to 15 agi stacks somewhere in there. Like I know it's a wide range, but it doesn't need to be much. Take a Roche, push off of it. Play aggressively on the map. Every single player in the world has heroes that they can play infinitely better than other heroes. Let's just be honest. The only reason I can play those heroes top tier is because I play them all the time, and you can't play every hero all the time. Like Illidan, Slark, and Drow, I think are much better than and Silencer are like much better than any of his heroes. Can he play other heroes well? Yeah, sure, but like I think that those heroes are on an own tier for him. I think it's that way with everybody. I don't think Midas is any good. I already talked about it. But yeah, guys, that is the end of my stream. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up there. The questions are kind of getting off topic. So I appreciate everyone who tuned into this. I will be posting it on YouTube as I log off right now. I hope everyone who views this enjoyed the guide, enjoys it. And I will probably post an extension in the future based on the fact that I feel like I talked a shit ton about Slark, but there's still a lot to talk about in specific scenarios, especially the late game, which none of these games encompassed other than showing you the items that I would choose. Playing him late game is very difficult in my opinion, so I will try to do my best in the future if I can expand upon it. So have a great night, everybody, and or morning or day, and I will see you probably later tonight. So see ya.